lovely
you.
week.
See what next week brings.
Yes, enjoy the weekend. Just chilling weekend, same as myself.
Tis Father's Day on Sunday.
Oh, yes, that's right. What are you going to do?
I'm going to cut my father's hedge on Sunday.
Very good.
Do something practical.
Excellent.
Rather than socks.
Well, I miss my dad, but I do have the Sunday off.
You go down with me.
God rest his soul.
All right.
All right, then. Thanks very
day,
much,
right?
Lee. Take care of yourself. All right, it is the 9 till noon show. Our Friday panel is going to join us very shortly. But first, let's get a news update from Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The hosepipe ban that's been in place in Milford for over a month has been extended until the August bank holiday. It's also in place in the Kells and Oldcastle areas of County Meath. Ishgaren says it would take several weeks of sustained rainfall to allow the affected water sources to recover to normal levels. Forecasts also indicate a likely return to warmer, drier weather from next week, which could further increase demand and place additional strain on already stressed supplies. Nationally, 21 locations across the country remain in drought status, some of which are in Donegal. The ban will be lifted on the 4th of August. The construction of a multi-million modular build will get underway on Monday at Scull Columkill in Letterkenny. The £4.2 million development will include 2 state-of-the-art autism classrooms, 2 mainstream classrooms and 3 support classrooms. A spokesperson says it will be the start of an exciting new chapter for the primary school. From today, primary schools are required to implement a policy banning the use of phones. Secondary schools will have a restrictive phone use policy for the duration of the school day, which they'll develop in consultation with students, parents and staff. It follows controversy over the designation of €9 million for phone pouches. Education Minister Helen McEntee is defending the spending.
I mean, I'm not saying that €9 million is not a lot of money. It is. It's part of a budget of €12 billion that I have for the whole department. This is money specifically to try and support kids in school, to make sure that where they're in school, they're learning. And that's what education is about. That's what our schools are about.
Almost 4,000 Donegal homes, businesses and farms near Carndonagh and Ballyshannon can now connect to fibre broadband on the NBI network. It means over 22,400 premises in Donegal can avail of high-speed connection today. With more, here's Katie Gillen.
4,644 connections have been made so far in Donegal under the scheme. 34,000 premises in the county are included in the state's intervention area, which will see NBI deliver minimum speeds of 500 megabits per second to homes, businesses, farms and schools. As the biggest investment in rural Ireland since rural electrification, Donegal will receive €128 million of government investment under the National Broadband Plan. National Broadband Ireland is now calling on people living in Carndonagh and Ballyshannon to visit nbi.ie/map and enter their air code to see if they are ready to connect. A link and more information can be found on our website highlandradio.com.
And now for weather, a rather cloudy start today with showers. It will become drier and brighter later this morning and this afternoon with long spells of sunshine developing. Highest temperatures of 17 to 21 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
What's brought me into therapy? Phone watch alarms. They're ruining my life. I used to be able to run a successful burglar boot camp. We produce some of the finest burglars in Ireland. But now, all my students are terrified of phone watch, and so am I. With their damn 15 seconds response time, 24/7 monitoring, the app, camera motion detectors, wireless video doorbell. I might never be able to burgle again. Get the alarm Burglar's Fear for just €49. Don't be alarmed. Be phone watched. Offer ends June 30th. Monitoring fees and terms apply.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday, the 13th of June, 2025. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show. And it's the end of what's been a really busy week on the show. And it's another busy 3 hours to finish things off. We've got a great mix of news, views, conversations, features. There's even a bit of live music thrown in there for your entertainment, I think. We have our Friday panel joining us very, very shortly. I'll introduce them. But I want to invite you into the conversation. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts, that number will include your comments as we go. 07491 25,000 is the number to give us a call or email comments@highlandradio.com. And just don't forget, in case you've tuned in for the first time, you can watch the show at home on your smart TV or Fire Stick, or in your maybe you have a communal area in residential care or something. Stick us on in the corner too as well. There, we're on the YouTube app Highland Radio Ireland, and you can watch us on Facebook and on X as well. Right, Dr. Joe Kelly. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning to yourself and to all listening in Highland Radio.
It's great to have you with us. Pat O'Connor, who is a Professor of Sociology and Social Policy, Emeritus at University of Limerick. Still struggling with that word. I'll get there at some point. Good morning to you. And don't try and tell me it, Pat, because it's not going to work. I know it. I just can't say it.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, all.
Thanks so much for being with us again. And Deputy Charles Ward of the 100% Redress Party. Good morning, Charles. How are you keeping?
Good, Greg. Good morning. And good morning to all the listeners.
It's great to have you with us. Just a quickie from you as a teacher, Joe. The 9 million pouch tender's been withdrawn. That created so much blowback for the government and so much controversy. And in its current form, it's gone. There aren't rules now whereby phone use needs to be restricted in schools. I think there's going to be some sort of a fund where schools can apply to draw down some money to implement that. It seems to be a complete mess as a teacher. What's your view? I mean, the details are only emerging this morning, but...
Look, where do you start with the education? Where do you start with everything with what government's doing at the moment? Look, we
in a fair and balanced way, please.
Yeah, fair and balanced. And in reality, with regards to the education, maybe we'll stay with that. This is what Norma Foley announced last year as a great solution to our problem. It was very simple, and we introduced it in our own school. Phones were banned, full stop. We didn't need 9 million to do that. But here's the real question. Why is the onus put back on the parents or on the teachers? Social media companies can be switched off between 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock during the day. The government licenses these companies. And if we want our students to be off them, then get these social media companies to switch off during school
try
hours.
And get mums and dads to agree to that. That's the problem, you see. Often the resistance comes from adults, not children.
Yeah, well, it's like musical chairs. We want to find solutions for everything other than the real solution. That's the elephant in the room, what's actually there. Again, we go back to the signage on all these bog roads. Like, we're doing something, by the way, but we won't put extra Gardaí out on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday night when most people are killed on our roads and when our roads are most dangerous. But what we will do is we'll put signs up on roads that nobody travels on, telling you to drive slowly. And again, that's what the pouch did. It was a solution to a problem that wasn't really the problem, and it was a waste of taxpayers' money. And we're going to be talking about that throughout the show. The amount of money that has been wasted. Simple, practical things can be done, but I don't think we have the competences in our government at the moment to achieve any of that. And across the whole civil service, there's a serious problem across all the stratas, and that sounds very negative, but we have to face up to the reality that what we have running our country at the moment across all strata is not fit for purpose, and we have to find another way. And if we don't, we're like goldfish. We're going round every 10 seconds with the same problem.
Yeah, okay. So implementation mechanisms will be decided by each school with flexibility to, in other words, the status quo is going to remain. You know, why not just say we made a mess up with the 9 million for pouches. Nobody wanted it. We thought it was a good idea, and now we're rolling back on it, but it's being framed in a different way. Pat O'Connor, comment from you in relation to this. With all due respect to Joe, I can't imagine a situation where social media companies would we can't even get flashing speeding signs outside schools switched off during the summer holidays. How in God's name you think we're going to switch off social media, Joe? Pat O'Connor, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I agree with Joe in the sense that it was a totally daft idea. But I suppose, I mean, in a way, I think it's, in this case, it's not quite fair to blame the civil servants. I don't think the civil servants dreamt up this idea. This was a ministerial wheeze, right? And really, it was, it indicated a degree of meddling in the day-to-day life of the schools and a lack of understanding of what the real problem was, or it was, I agree with you, it was a non-solution, but in this case, I'm afraid, I think it's the politician rather than the civil servant that are the problem.
Yeah, Charles, were you in favour of these proposals?
Definitely not. I think when they first came out, and you were kind of looking to see if it was April Fool's Day. My wife's a teacher; she's nearly 30 years' experience, and I have children who are at high school. And the first thing is, when it came out, they were looking at these pouches, that the proposed pouches they were going to use. And my kids came up to me and goes, "Oh, they've tried them before at concerts. They're really easy to hack." So.
Yeah, exactly. Ask the kids; they would have told you it was a non-runner.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The health minister is.
Point, Greg.
Sorry, go ahead, Pat,
Sorry.
please. Yeah.
You have to wonder who had a relationship with what company producing the pouches.
But that's a full hour. That's a full hour somewhere else.
Exactly. Just a comment, by the way.
Yeah,
and it's
you know
to
what?
wonder-
Unfortunately, history states that there might be something to what you've just said. Joe,
But
what did
again-
you want to say there?
Well, but again, it's probably acknowledged that a Minister for Justice, the last Minister for Justice, her husband is an ABV that does the transgender drugs. And then you wonder then who's putting through the hate speech law and transgender laws in our country. I mean, it's known that there's always a connection between the political elite and those that are
Yeah,
going
but
to
we're a
support them
small
financially.
country. We're a small country, and everyone's going to be connected to someone in the drinks industry, in the anything that's a wee bit controversial. There's connections everywhere. There's only 6 million of us, for crying out loud. Is there not
But
always
look,
a
there has
connection?
to be. No, I think there's a standard required and there's an integrity required. And in fairness to the history of our Donegal TDs, they've never had dirty hands in that sense. They've always acted honourably. I mean, if you just even look at Mary Calton, who was our Taoiseach, and she was impeccable. There was nothing against her character. And in fairness to our TDs across the history in this county, they've always acted with a very high standard. It's unfortunate that 90% of the TDs give the other 10% a bad name. But look, that's politics and that's business, and unfortunately that line is often crossed.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick break because I'm normally running a little bit behind on Fridays because I'll be so intrigued by what our contributors have to say. So stay with us, and coming up after the break, we're going to sort of reflect on the meeting between Oireachtas members and the Health Minister during the week, and a meeting coming next week between the Health Minister and doctors to see what the solution to the woes at LUH might be.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Congratulations to Geraldine, Edward and Liam on the grand opening of their newly renovated Rosie's Bar and Lounge Drumkeen. Join the celebrations with live music all weekend. Best wishes from all at Bonner's Quarry.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up, fresh colour for your walls, or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
Your new 252 could be just around the corner thanks to a great scrappage deal available right now at Divers Hyundai in Letterkenny, with up to €3,500 for your trade-in on selected models. Some terms and conditions apply, but hurry, this offer only lasts until June the 31st at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 or see diversgarage.ie. A new 252 with up to €3,500 available for scrappage. For details, contact Divers today.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
9:15. Now, the Health Minister has agreed to meet with a delegation of doctors next week in response to a letter sent to her advocating for LUH to be the location of a surgical hub and for increased investment more generally in the hospital. On this show, the Minister seemed to play down the significance of surgical hubs and instead talked of an overall project to enhance the hospital, which it seems might be led out by current and regional management. But doctors remain resolute in their view that a surgical hub is critical to the future of key services in the hospital, such as ED, maternity, etc. Well, Deputy Charles Ward was at that meeting between Donegal Oireachtas members and Jennifer Carroll McNeil early this week. So I will start with you. You know, how do you frame that meeting, Charles?
It was a very productive meeting. Basically, every single elected member from Donegal, we're on the same page. It's a very unique situation where politically you would have a difference of opinion, but everybody recognises how underfunded our hospital is. And basically, this has got to the stage now where for the hospital to develop and grow, we need this surgical hub. We welcome any other advancements, but the surgical hub is ready-made and ready to go. The surgical hub, if announced, would be 23 months away. Anything else is years. We don't have 8 to 15 years. We've got to develop the hospital now.
Did you get the... I'm not sure if you heard her comments subsequent to that, where she talked of, you know, surgical hubs being about carpal tunnel syndrome and this, that and thon, and that whilst not sort of saying she's going to back the Sligo proposals, sort of saying, I kind of got the feeling, and I don't want to misrepresent her, that we were being set up really for the surgical hub to go to Sligo and the promise of something greater for Letterkenny. But I have to listen to the 171 doctors. They say we don't have the time. You've said that already.
Yeah, look, it's like this. You have to listen to the people on the ground who are working in this environment every single day. They know how it works. They can see the lack of investment within LUH, and that's why it's very important that there's a coordinated effort. There's certain parts of her interview with you yesterday I listened to late last night. There was key words throughout that, you know, the lack of a coordinated business plan and, you know, a development plan. It indicates to me that she's looking at a long term, which is absolutely no good to us. We need to make sure that we have a surgical hub. Otherwise, anything else means our hospital is downgraded. And I think if you asked any of the 171 doctors, they would agree with that.
It seems that a surgical hub would stall the slide potentially, whereby that slide would continue in the absence of the surgical hub and then any of these grand plans, because we also have to remember that the recommendations going to her really go through Tony Canavan's office, and he's been in his position for really quite some time now. So what might give us the impression that his attitude might change towards proper investment into Letterkenny University Hospital?
Well, if Tony Canavan is doing his job, facts and figures are going to be key. And facts and figures that we should be entitled to, that we will have, will indicate that the hub should be in Letterkenny. Now, ideally, there should be a hub in Sligo and Letterkenny. But if it comes down to a business plan and facts and figures, then the only place that the hub should be in Letterkenny. We are geographically isolated from everywhere else compared to Sligo. Sligo is within a 90-minute period of other surgical or other hospitals. We are in a unique position where we are isolated. If you're in Carndonagh or Mallinhead and you need that surgical hub and the services of it, you have to go to Sligo, which is 2.5 hours away. It's unacceptable.
I also thought it was interesting in her comments that the approach is still what's best for the Northwest. That hasn't worked for us, and she did say that a few times. What we really need, it would seem from what we're being told, is that we actually don't think, because Sligo is arguably the heart of the Northwest, and that seems to be the solution for everything. And it sort of sometimes talks to a lack of understanding of the actual geographical nature of the Northwest, and that we are actually a peninsula of the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, and you see, when you hear the wording of the statement, what she said, I took a lot of things out of that single campus master plan. You know, Galway was once in this kind of pickle before, and we can, you know, so what they're basically trying to sell you is that eventually you could have what Galway have. That is 15 to 20 years away. What we need to do is stop it now. We need the surgical hub, a ready-made model that will bring staff in, which will produce more services for Donegal. This is vital. Anything else, it's a downgrade.
And basically, just for listeners too, at the moment, it would make it easier to hire into Letterkenny. At the moment, we're incredibly reliant on locums who are in and out, and how they provide care. I'm not saying it's ineffective, but follow-ups and all that type of stuff, that hospital needs to be able to attract full-time staff that are there all the time, that can follow the cases. And as I say, I'm not critical of locums, but the hospital needs to be more of an attractive place to correct the staffing structure there. I've lost you there. I'll come back to you, Charles. I think you might have muted. Dr. Joe Kelly, what's your view?
Look, I mean, I passed by the hospital, and if you just even look at the facade of the building and the shape,
it would need help.
Sorry, Charles. Sorry, Charles, you cut out there. I'll come back to you. I just wanted to, I had to bring Joe in because your audio cut out there. Maybe a call was coming in or something. Sorry, Dr. Kelly, continue.
If you just see the facade of the building, and what people know in Donegal is the population of Ireland, or in Donegal, sorry, has increased between 2016 and 2022 by over almost 8,000 people. Has the investment in our healthcare increased to the same amount? That's about 5%. Has it increased? Have the bed capacity increased that much? This is an ongoing problem. And, in the darkness, you begin to see the stars in the light. And in the darkness of our surgical issue at the moment, we're beginning to see the real issues, and we're beginning to see how much Donegal is being left behind. And it's not just the surgical matter, it's across the board. And you talk about Donegal being a peninsula to the 26 counties, or the 25 other counties. Only 6 miles of Donegal touches the Free State. We don't matter in Dublin. That's very, very simple. And I've talked to you before, we don't even have an MEP for the first time in the history of, since 1979, our first MEP along the border. We don't have any representation. We're a forgotten county, we're a phantom county, we're a limb. And again, we've been taken for granted again and again and again. And here in this issue, the surgical hub is one example where we have the facts and the figures to show that we deserve this. But you know what? Donegal doesn't matter. Because you know what? They'll give us back a representation to support our government time after time after time. And the people of Donegal will forget. And so when it comes to the next cycle of elections, this is what happens. But having said that, I'm very confident that our TDs working together will get this over the line. They know that they have to. And don't forget, along the border counties, there's 16 TDs. That's enough to hold the balance of power. And it's time, Charles, and your colleagues along the border counties started to fight for the border counties. We can't keep putting up with this phantom idea that we're taken for granted and that our county is at a second grade. And that's what it is. And it's unfortunate to say that. But again, we will forget.
Okay, well, Charles, you addressed him directly before I bring Pat back in. I think you wanted to respond to that, Charles.
Yeah, look, it's like this. The 5 Donegal TDs are fighting, okay? We are isolated up here, okay? Ideally, we would like it to be in Sligo and in Letterkenny. Now, if you look, Greg, I don't know if you recall a few weeks ago when Betty Holmes was doing her protest, she had a map. And on this map is where all the surgical services and all these other acute cancer care services are. We are isolated. Okay, now I understand you're on about the border counties and all that, but up here, we are asking for equal treatment. Nothing else, nothing more, equal. So where the rest of them have equal treatment, where Galway is very close to Sligo and Roscommon, that we are isolated. And that's why all the Donegal TDs recognise this, and the senators, and that's why we have pulled together on this. Now, we need to pull together for this to make sure this comes to Donegal, more importantly, than anywhere else, as far as I'm concerned.
Pat O'Connor.
Well, I suppose I'd make 2 comments. Obviously, I don't know what's happening on the ground, right? But I suppose for me, the puzzle is around these surgical hubs, because as I have understood it, the problem is the shortage of staff, including surgeons. And in a way, creating these surgical hubs for more routine operations. The question in my mind is, will this cause a shortage in the emergency area? And certainly there seems to be some evidence that this is what will happen. In a way, so that's the first point. So I'm not entirely, it's a quick way of making waiting lists look better. I'm very clear on that. But what will be the knock-on effect in terms of the development of these surgical hubs, unless staffing is improved in all other areas? I think that's a problem.
Yeah, it is in talk, but the whole idea is, unfortunately, we're hemorrhaging staff from Letterkenny University Hospital as it is. And the medical professionals seem to be of the view that the provision of a surgical hub would actually make it more attractive area for medical staff to move up to and work full time. And there'd be more opportunities. And I'm not sure if the interaction between working in the ED and the surgical hub and how that might be attractive, but there certainly seems to be an indication that it would actually bolster staff rather than put further pressure on us.
Well, and the second point I want to make is, interestingly, Waterford, which has been designated for a possible surgical hub, but in most other decisions, for example, heart, all sorts of other decisions, Waterford has been neglected and the focus has been on Cork. So there seems to be somewhere a map of ideal developments for the health centres, for the whole health service across the country. And obviously, Letterkenny is not on that map.
Yeah, but the problem is we have to drill into what that is. Is it for medical reasons, or are there people with influence within the health service that are cherry-picking where these places go for whatever reason they might choose to, but not based on evidence and science? You know, and I think a deep dive into why Sligo University Hospital was recommended for the surgical hub would show that, because there's no statistical evidence to put it above Letterkenny. I'll come back to you, Pat. Charles, you wanted to come in there.
Yeah, right.
Charles, you wanted to come in.
Yeah. Really, in reality, it's a real simple one. If you're proposing a business plan, you'll come forward with your facts and figures, okay? And in Sligo, the business plan would come forward and the facts and figures will be there, okay? And then Letterkenny's business plan would come in and it would clearly show that the only place for it to go is in Letterkenny. So when Tony Canavan is looking at these facts and figures that should be made public, the whole thing, there should be a transparency there. And he hands them over to the minister who has the sign off on this. It's her word at the end. So Tony Canavan can say whatever he wants and have his own opinion.
Well, you're not at the meeting when Tony Canavan said it was based on population, at least partly.
And this is what we're saying. His figures are not accurate. He needs to realise, and he needs to be more thorough and realise that the facts and figures indicate that the hub has to go to Letterkenny. There's no other way about it. And when he hands them facts and figures over, I think that she looks at them, she already knows that she has to make the right decision, and the right decision is for it to be in Donegal.
Pat O'Connor too, though, I know you're not privy to the interview with the minister yesterday, but she pointed out that only one is open. So, I mean, I understand that people are saying that, these are shovel ready and open in 21, 22, 23 months, but she's talking about the limited sort of scope that they have and the fact that only, one is opened anyways. I don't know whether her view on surgical hubs might be different to previous ministers.
Well, I don't know that, but I mean, I'm still waiting for Sláinte care to be implemented. There seems to be even very good ideas which have cross-party support seem not to be getting implemented. How long is Sláinte care on the go? But I'm slightly concerned about Charles's comments on Tony Canavan's figures. Like, in a way, they're either right or wrong. Population figures are from the CSO.
But we have doubled the population. Now, if you want to start talking then about, I don't know, I wasn't at that meeting, but say you want to factor in care that's provided in Sligo. Well, already you see many people from Donegal have to go to Sligo for stuff they shouldn't have to, injection in their eyes, etc., things like that. Are they counting them in? Is that what's skewing the population? I don't know. I haven't seen the business case. But I mean, to use the fact that maybe Donegal people are being forced to go to Sligo to increase the argument for a Sligo surgical hub, if that were part of this decision-making process, it's a double insult. Joe Kelly, come on in on this.
I'm just laughing. And again, do you know this? I think we're being foolish as a county and as a people and as our politicians. If they think that the business case has even been considered for Donegal, it's not about facts and figures. It's about policy. And Donegal can be forgotten. Why worry about Donegal? It doesn't need a business case. Just forget about them. And that's going across every sector. For example, we talked before about the rail investment, that there was to be 37 billion spent, 37,000 million, and less than 900,000. That's less than 1% would be spent in Donegal. It doesn't matter. When it goes to roads, we don't get the share of money, despite the fact that we have so many roads in Donegal. When it goes to the medical centres that we're talking about now in the surgical hubs, it doesn't matter. When it goes to all the different sectors, we don't have rail, we don't have roads. Donegal doesn't matter. And does it take this issue to make us realise that they don't need a business case? They are going to make these decisions independent of business case.
Okay. Just one question in relation to that, and I want to ask Charles, because I can't really get a straight answer on this. Did Letterkenny University Hospital put forward a business case for the location of a surgical hub there?
Well, according to the health minister, they haven't put it forward yet.
No, but I mean, I'm on about to sort of the mid-northwest Cialta. Let's just keep calling it Cialta. Like, we know Sligo has a business case and it was signed off on. Did Letterkenny University Hospital propose a business case, or did that work top down? I don't understand how that...
Well, this is what we're saying. According to herself, she has stated that they're waiting on the Letterkenny business plan. But what we need to realise something about CELTA. They have not. It has not been productive for us at all in the Northwest dealing with that organisation, and we have to say it the way it is. You know, we're in an emergency situation in Letterkenny. And we've got to realise this situation it needs investment. It needs investment now. I'll give you a quick analogy. Basically, if you were a football club that was successful and you're a small football club, but you need to grow and develop to keep things going, and the more successful you become, that is what's happened. We have got surgical team in Letterkenny that are stretched to the limit, that need support and need help. And the only way that does is the surgical hub. And what the surgical hub does, it allows the hospital to develop. It gives them time.
All right.
They must put forward a business case. Like, I'm amazed, appalled. You know, if Letterkenny Hospital hasn't put forward a business case and Sligo has.
Yeah. Well, it's a direct question, which I really do think we need to get an answer to. Go ahead.
But again, it's a question of, have they put forward a business case? Maybe they weren't given the opportunity to perform the business. Maybe this came from the top down, and that would be my feeling on this. This is a decision that's made independent of our hospitals and of the staff there.
I've just got clarification. Letterkenny University Hospital did submit a business case. It was considered, and Sligo's business case was chosen over Letterkenny and signed off on regionally by the HSC, and it is that which will be forwarded to the Minister for Health for consideration.
So sure.
All right.
Well, the part of that is, if that's the case, then we have to go on facts and figures. And if we're going on facts and figures, the Health Minister is the one that signs off on this, and the facts and figures will indicate that the hub should be in Letterkenny. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but key questions need to be asked. On what basis is that decision made?
Yeah.
What are the key criteria? In a way, like, for right or wrong, you have to nail them on the detail, on factual detail. Facts will only go so far. But if it emerges that the criteria are X, Y, Z, those need to be published. The data, as Charles has said, needs to be published. And then, in a way, that if they're caught in an embarrassing situation, that they've made a decision which is out of line with the criteria and the facts, at least it is all clear.
Well, that's
right?
Pat, on the show this day last week, I said we need to see the Sligo business plan, we need to see the Letterkenny business plan, and we need to see the rationale for choosing Sligo over Letterkenny. And you've said the exact same thing there. That is the basic that we deserve. Go ahead, Charles.
Yes.
You see, now, what's going to happen is when the surgical teams and the doctors go down to visit the health minister next week and they present to her, there is no doubt about it in my mind. She will see exactly what we've been saying, and it's coming from the people on the ground, the people that are keeping Donegal alive and well and ticking. These people are overly stretched, and when they go and present to her, as far as I'm concerned, and I do believe she is listening, and I do believe that she's aware of the situation. But she has control over the situation.
But there's one thing people aren't factoring in this yet, and they haven't even been in the conversation. And I wonder when they'll show their hand. What do the people of Sligo think? What do the consultants in Sligo think? What does the management of Sligo Hospital think? Because I'm sure they will have a counter argument as to why it's very important that they have this. Now, we know they've submitted a business case, but is a delegation from Sligo going to end up going up to the minister the following week? You know, they're sitting on their hands at the moment. Sorry, they're keeping their powder dry at the moment. Their voice is yet to be thrown into this. And if there's only one, there's no guarantee Letterkenny's going to get it, because Sligo's already been told they're getting it.
But there it goes. But as we talk about again, our geographic location, we are basically Alaska when it comes to this. We are in a unique situation where we are not 90 minutes away from a surgical hub in certain parts of Donegal. And that is putting our citizens, our Irish citizens' health at risk.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, this is what we're elected to. We're in there fighting for the rights. And Donegal is forgotten. And we have to stand up and say, this is enough. We need investment in this hospital.
All right, back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Father's Day is nearly here and the US Open is just around the corner. Make it a celebration to remember with the perfect gift from McGurk's Golf. We've got everything dads need, from the latest clubs and stylish apparels to top brand shoes, golf balls, bags and accessories. Visit McGurk's Golf, Unit 16, Letterkenny 40 Retail Park, where golfers shop with confidence.
TFI Local Link offers frequent, affordable and sustainable bus services, keeping rural communities in Ireland connected. Save up to 30% on fares when you use your TFI Leap card on eligible TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie.
Set sail on your dream holiday with Royal Caribbean and Atlantic Travel, official booking agent in Donegal. Explore stunning destinations, indulge in luxurious onboard experiences, and create memories to treasure forever. Call or visit atlantictravel.ie today. Your Royal Caribbean adventure awaits.
Bíonn Gillian ag sprága daoine bheith aclaí.
Ná bíoch imir, tá muid beag nach ann.
Tugann sí slán daoine freisin na gasanna éigeandála. Tá dúracht ag baint le bheith I de choracóir dóiteán ar áirithaocht. Ach mar a toradach go daibre go deo. Fáimach faoi bheith de choracóir dóiteán ar áirithaocht I de phobal féin. Téach ag fireireland.ie. Teachtarach dó rialtas na héireann.
The big mid-year furniture clearance sale at Foy's, Ballybuffet and Letterkenny is on until June the 15th. Huge savings on sofas, dining sets, curtains, fabrics, lamps and more. When they're gone, so don't miss out. Only at Foy's and Ballybuffet and Letterkenny until June the 15th. Foy's, where quality meets value.
Hosa give blood punkai eager federlin vehe braharif. Pobl don't tori folla dorgrid. Le veher fall de rine elle agus iad de grú chos. Is féidir le dóntóirí rialta chuine I dhéanamh ag giveblood.ie. Nó tríd gléach a chur ar a héan a hocht a náid, a seach a trí a héan a trí a seacht. Tá sé fíorthach dóntóirí nó aimsú. Túr cuairt ar RCF Gréasáin, chuin in cháilehocht agus sunraí clinicí a cheacáil, Tommy de Brahart.
Now, the government planned to extend rent pressure zones across the entire country, and it's going to be fast-tracked now, with the law change expected to be in place within weeks. Initially, some of the changes were announced with the commencement date of the 1st of March next year, while other changes had no specific date attached. However, the government has now clarified that the plan to bring the entire country under an RPZ will be done as a matter of urgency. The major shift in rental regulation was announced by Housing Minister James Brown earlier this week as part of plans to attract more private investment into the rental market, aimed at boosting supply while also enhancing protections for renters. This to prevent landlords from increasing rents in areas that are currently... the reason they've brought all this forward is to prevent landlords from increasing rents in areas that are currently not protected in the interim period. There was this fear that between now and March you ramp up your rents because you know what's coming. Well, anyway, Pat O'Connor, do you think these measures will make more rental property available in, I suppose, more rural counties like Donegal? And will it lead to an increase in supply in these areas?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I didn't know where that started off so positively and took a turn in the next word. Go ahead.
I mean, in a way, one of the property people agreed that it was highly possible that landlords would leave property vacant between now and next March. Is this going to make for more availability of property? I mean, it has been described as a Flann O'Brien effort, the whole housing plan policy. It's just ridiculous.
So you make rents higher, so it's more attractive for people to come in to invest, to build properties. At what point does that trickle down to more affordable rent and more properties in counties like Donegal? I can't see it, but I presume that's my ignorance.
No, I'm sorry, I can't see it either. And the whole, waiting till... in making the whole country a rent
pressure zone. Pressure zone.
I mean, that's only going to affect, they say, about 17% anyway. Deferring things until next March means that of that 17%, what proportion are actually going to leave properties vacant in order to be able to avail of special conditions? I mean,
or evicting people,
intellectually interesting,
or trying to evict people so that you can list your property at the higher price after.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. I'll come back to you, Joe Kelly. Exacerbated by this one too, I take it.
Look, it's the problem of a generation. One could say, think of this: since 2008, 800,000 young people have left our country. And one of the reasons they've left, it used to be they went to go and look for jobs and for work. Now they're going looking for housing because they can't be housed in their own country. And this is a problem that's going on. And it's back to what I said earlier. These are problems we had 10 years, 20 years ago, and we're still going to have them in another 10, 20 years' time.
Is it not the case that simply we need to build more houses? We need to let people build on the N56. We need to allow people to build on their own land. We need SIs. We need the council going in, building lots of houses. We can't rely on private pension funds to fix this problem, can we?
I think there's a dishonesty again, and there's a dysfunction within government. And what I mean by that is, what I mean by the government is those that are at the very, very top. Do you just take, for example, in the Glenties electoral area, in the last council, the previous council of this one, 5 houses were built, 5 or 6 houses were built for the whole 5 years. If you look at Falcarra today, you can't build any more houses in the town of Falcarra because the sewage system isn't up to scratch. And you can't blame the council. You see, the problems are more fundamental. It's not
how
about
could you approve any properties, for example, in the Milford area? They've just had their hosepipe ban extended till the August bank holiday, and it's piddled rain all week. So how could you, in all consciousness, approve any housing in an area whereby there's insufficient water?
Yeah, and so look, so there's water, there's other sewage, there's other ancillary items that have a problem, and again, the government is not having a national policy of investing, bringing up the standards necessary to build the housing. And just let me point out, for example, history shows us after the fall of the German East Germany in 1989. One American company came in and built 18,000 houses in 6 months. This can be done. It's been done across the world. China are another example of being able to do this, where they built warehouses. They put all the toilets into one warehouse, the doors into other, windows into other, and they went building a strong government policy of building, but we don't have that. The drive isn't there. It's not in the government's interest to solve the housing problem.
But they are committing to building, what, 40, 50,000 houses a year. That's what you're talking of. That's the plan.
We're talking about a lot more than that. I don't believe that. Look, Greg, let's be honest here. Let's get down to brass tacks. When you buy a house for 300,000 or build a house as a young boy or a young man or woman for 300,000, it's not 300,000. By the time you finish paying your mortgage and ancillary fees, you're talking about 600,000 euro to have a house. The cost involved, there's too much money, there's too much tax to be gained. The banks are making an absolute fortune. The government are making a fortune on every item that's taxed. Building products, the prices of them. There's too much to be gained by the government in taxation. If the government real about trying to build housing, let's remove the VAT from building products to a very low standard where young people could afford then to build their own houses. And may I just add one thing? Deputy Ward will understand this because of the MICA. This government, or the last government, sorry, introduced what they called a concrete tax that you and I don't have to pay, Greg, because we have our houses built. But for every young boy and girl in the future, they're going to have to pay this concrete tax. As another hidden tax put on the burden of the young people. So the housing problem isn't a housing problem. It's a problem of the way we're looking at how to solve this. And I don't think that we are sincere as a country, as a government, in trying to resolve this problem in an honest way. And I think it benefits the government to keep the problem going and going and going. And now we're going to split. Landlords are bad and the government's good.
Well, that's already done. What I want to set this up for you, Charles Ward, is that, say, for instance, in terms of our ambulance service, we have sort of an urban model that's employed in Donegal to our disadvantage. In terms of policing, we have an urban sort of policing model that's now employed in Donegal, which doesn't necessarily work in a sprawling rural community. And now we have a sort of a city housing solution problem that is not nuanced at all for Donegal, say, for example, because of our specific pressures we have because of DCB, right? So have you any optimism at all that this rent pressure zone implementation in Donegal will lead to an increase in properties, not just for first-time buyers, first-time renters, but also those in defective concrete blocks, the thousands coming down the line potentially that will need alternative accommodation?
Prior to Easter, I'd been looking at rental properties because I'm always constantly looking out because of the number of people that will be going forward for the defective concrete scheme. And in Donegal, there was 28 properties for rent. So if this scheme was working and we had 200 people going ahead tomorrow, it's on its knees already. So, for example, we're talking about boys and girls in the future. There's going to be no future for boys and girls building houses in Donegal when a house in Donegal costs between 300,000 and 400,000, and we've got the lowest disposable income in the country. You know what I mean? We're sitting here having this conversation now. As a father of four, you're a father too, Greg, and I wonder in the future, am I going to be going out the back, going back building again to build a shed for my kids to live in? Because that's the way things are going. You know what I mean? We back in 2009, there was a critical government mistake made when the country basically lost out to Troika and all this carry on. What happened was we had a workforce of about 160, 170,000. We're back at that level, but the demand for housing has continued beyond that.
God, do you remember at that time the audit of ghost estates? Do you remember we had houses lying empty that just needed plastering and doors? And we didn't know what we were. There was talk of tossing. I think some of these ghost estates were tossed.
They were. And you see, back then, we should have kept at it. We should have had a plan in place, but government policy, they were panicking. And basically, for ourselves in the Northwest, we didn't see any real production or movement, and we haven't seen it return to the way it was until about 2018, 2017. And that's when the defective concrete prior to that was starting to rear its head. And what we have is the perfect storm. But part of that is the fact is that investment in property, we need to realize something. 30,000 houses plus they're looking at this year. They're not going to be anywhere near that. I look at one thing since I've been elected. I don't look at commencement notice. I look at completions. You can't live in a commencement. You can live in a completion.
No, but there was a Russia commitment. There was Russia commitments last year because they incentivized it, and those houses never progressed. I'll come back to you, Pat. The situation we find ourselves in this country in terms of housing, and I don't want to be negative, but for some reason we pay some of the highest mortgage rates. We need massive investment in our electrical infrastructure to actually meet the need for these houses. At the moment, ironically, 20% of our power is used by data centers, yet it's the electricity bill payer today that has to fund this upgrade, apparently. And also, too, in Donegal, for an example, there's water restrictions in Milford. There's critical water levels in Buncrana, the Twin Towns, Letterkenny, and elsewhere. We don't have the infrastructure to build. We're already paying some of the highest mortgage rates in Europe, and now we're going to have to foot the bill for the ESB to upgrade the network. Like, there's an awful lot there, Pat, to overcome before we even start thinking about delivering housing at any level, surely.
I mean, it is very discouraging when you look at the levels. I mean, Ishgaran is a problem. The electricity, I agree with you, the whole power situation and the encouragement of people to go electric on everything when we can't already supply our existing needs, completely mad. The failure of the government really to employ a few demographers and forward plan on population. Dreadful. So, but in the meantime, so I agree with all of that infrastructural. But what is paradoxical and maddening is that the government has money. People have savings. Do you know, like we have something like 156 billion in savings. And so the possibility of using that, not simply relying on, you know, these nebulous corporates, but using that to basically begin to drive the infrastructural improvement. But this is a long-term prospect. And in the meantime, I suppose the one thing that strikes me, you walk around any town and you see a whole load of derelict properties. I'm afraid I like watching, you know, the basically the programs on telly doing up derelict houses, buying them for really good value, and young people putting a bit of effort in and restoring them. But even the grants for those local small micro initiatives are not really up to very recently. You had to pony up the money yourself before you got finished the job, before you got it back.
But ironically, we do love that scheme here in Donegal. We're the biggest uptakers of the derelict stroke vacant property. So when you get a good idea, and that is a brilliant idea from government, it does deliver housing. You just have to give people a hand, and it's worked really well, it seems.
Well, of course, it's a short-term, limited solution. But I think it would be far preferable to put some more money and effort into that, given the interior of most of the towns are dying rather than putting it into this crazy rent pressure zone policy.
Okay, Joe, it looks like we're going to have 15 billion extra in tax this year that we didn't know we were going to get. No, so this is above expectations. So why aren't we repurposing that 15 billion money that we didn't even know we were going to have? Instead, we're trying to court international pension funds to solve our housing problems. That's a genuine, honest, not a loaded question. Why not fashion that 15 billion euro into real delivery?
Look, we're looking for hope and hopeless leadership. And that's just, we have to call a spade a spade. And I agree with Professor Pat there about the saving 150 whatever billion. Imagine the government was to say, look, we want that money, we'll give you an interest rate, and we're going to use that money to rebuild the houses or to build houses for Ireland, and it's guaranteed by the government. We don't need these vulture funds. We have our own money within our own country to do that. But you know what? That wouldn't be what the leadership want. There's too many hidden agendas and too many people with their heads in the trough. And just let me put it like this to you, Greg. You're asking politicians to sort out a problem. Politicians that turned up for 1.5 hours in December November of last year and claimed 560,000 expenses in the dial for 1.5 hour in the dial. And you're asking these people to now, and I mean by the leadership, the government, to sort out the housing problems. There's too many of them with the head in the trough. And we're looking for hope from hopeless leaders.
Okay, Dr. Joe Kelly, I must leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Lovely to chat to you. Professor Pat Kelly, I feel our time was too fleeting, but I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Take care. And Deputy Charles Ward, take care of yourself as well. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
You too, Greg. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. We'll be back with a quick look at the weather ahead of the news.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Morning auctioneers, estate agents and valuers will host a plant and machinery auction at their yard in Dromahall, Manor Cunningham this Friday 13th and Saturday 14th of June. Friday from 1 p.m. sharp, around 1,000 small items are up for auction. On Saturday from 10 a.m. sharp, there's over 800 lots of plant and machinery. Viewing available all day Thursday and Friday. Please inspect items carefully, as all sales are final once the hammer falls. See Facebook for items and more details. Online bidding and catalogue available on Martai. That's this Friday and Saturday at Morning Yard, Dromahall, Manor Cunningham.
Hybrid, plug-in hybrid, electric. Don't get confused. Get excited with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. At Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles, you get the power of choice. There's our wide range to see, including the Toyota CHR and the all-electric BZ4X, with power-up boosters of up to €3,000 and flexible payment options available. So order now at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply. Best-selling claim based on latest figures.
Ready for sunshine? Fly EasyJet from Belfast International Airport to a range of holiday destinations including Tenerife, Amsterdam, the Algarve, Barcelona and many more, which you can find in Belfast International Airport's summer schedule. Don't miss out, book today with EasyJet. Find your destination inspiration.
Do you have a job vacancy that needs filled fast? Tried everything but still no luck? Let Highland Radio's Job Spot do the work for you. We'll share your vacancies with 70,000 daily listeners in Donegal, Derry and Tyrone every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during prime time. Plus your jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our Job Spot section. It's fast, cost effective and reaches the people you need. Contact our advertising team today on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenny's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So it's going to become drier and brighter later this morning and this afternoon, with long spells of sunshine developing. A largely dry and fine evening is forecast. Temperatures 17 to 20 degrees, winds moderate, and there'll be some showers about Saturday and Sunday, but good spells of sunshine. And next week, looking like very little rain, plenty of dry weather. So not bad if that's what you're looking for. Right, let's take a break for the news at 10. We've got a very interesting couple of hours coming up. Keep your comments coming in, by the way. I will catch up on many of those after we get the news and obituary notices, and then we'll be right back.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Meet Liz. She's here to tell you why you should switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance.
Hi, I'm Liz from Kildare. I made the switch to Outsurance and saved €145. I'm also on my way to getting 10% cash back with their Out bonus.
Like the sound of that? For a competitive car insurance quote like Liz's, call 1800 600 400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The law around organ donation is changing. From June 17th, every adult in Ireland will be considered an organ donor when they die. We're doing this to help save and transform lives, and you will have the power to choose what's right for you. Talk to your family and friends to make sure they know your wishes. Find out more about the change at gov.ie/organ donation. A message from the Government of Ireland.
Exporter war drives weaning prices. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal why Irish cattle are being hoovered up by continental buyers. Record number of beef cattle sourced from controlled finishing units. Stay on top of the Fair Deal scheme. Reduce contributions for long-term care. And free Protecting Payments Supplement. Your essential guide to protecting your farm payments. Ensure deadlines and targets are met. All you need to know about sheep, skeps, bists and nitrate schemes. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
On Business Matters this week, we'll hear from Jay Doherty of Jay Doherty Photography about the wedding photography business, and also Tara McDade about permanent TSB banking in Donegal. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters on Sunday after the 6 o'clock news.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The hosepipe ban that's been in place in Milford for over a month is to be extended until the August bank holiday. It's also in place in the Kells and Oldcastle areas of County Meath and in Mullingar of County Westmeath. Nationally, 21 locations across the country remain in a drought status, some of which are in Donegal. Damien O'Sullivan, Ishka Aaron's Water Network Operations Manager for Donegal, says with warm weather on the way, the system will be under more pressure.
Annual trends show that generally our lakes recharge in the winter time. Unfortunately, 8 of the 9 months weather, from September right through to May, we've seen below average rainfall in around 60% apart from April. So that meant that we were heading into the summertime in Lough Columkill in Milford, which substantially reduced lake levels. The forecasts do indicate a likely return to warmer and drier weather, and that will put the lake under pressure again.
The construction of a multi-million modular build will get underway on Monday at Scull Columkill in Letterkenny. The €4.2 million development will include 2 state-of-the-art autism classrooms, 2 mainstream classrooms and 3 support classrooms. A spokesperson says it'll be the start of an exciting new chapter of the primary school. Meanwhile, Principal Pádraig Cannon says he's delighted with the pace of the project under the Rapid Delivery Scheme.
It is a rapid delivery. To think that within 12 months we're actually going now to construction, whereas in the past project it took 14 years before we were able to open the doors of the new building. So that's fantastic news.
Heads of state from Ireland, Northern Ireland and Britain are meeting this morning to discuss British-Irish relations. It's part of a biannual summit which was established after the Good Friday Agreement. Taoiseach Micheál Martin is in attendance and he says the talks are important for the country.
More broadly, welcome also for the United Kingdom-Ireland relationship, which is strong and warm at the moment, and allied to that the European Union-United Kingdom agreement. And these are all key relationships. Along with our relationship with the US in the context of what is a turbulent global situation and an uncertain global situation in respect of tariffs.
Israel's declared a state of emergency as it anticipates retaliatory military action from Iran. The IDF confirmed it launched airstrikes targeting Tehran's nuclear sites overnight and said it's working to intercept around 100 attack drones. Iran's supreme leader vowed to respond. Professor Mohammed Mandri from Tehran University says there's no other option.
The only way forward is to make sure that the Israeli regime regrets attacking Iran, Iranians, and infrastructure that is legitimate and which is monitored regularly by the International Atomic Energy Agency.
Almost 4,000 Donegal homes, businesses and farms near Carndonagh and Ballyshannon can now connect to fibre broadband from the NBI network. It means over 22,400 premises in Donegal can avail of a high-speed connection today. With more, here's Katie Gillen.
4,644 connections have been made so far in Donegal under the scheme. 34,000 premises in the county are included in the state's intervention area, which will see NBI deliver minimum speeds of 500 megabits per second to homes, businesses, farms and schools. As the biggest investment in rural Ireland since rural electrification, Donegal will receive €128 million of government investment under the National Broadband Plan. National Broadband Ireland is now calling on people living in Carndonagh and Ballyshannon to visit nbi.ie/map and enter their air code to see if they are ready to connect. A link and more information can be found on our website highlandradio.com.
From today, primary schools are required to implement a policy banning the use of phones. Secondary schools will have a restrictive phone use policy for the duration of the school day, which they'll develop in consultation with students, parents and staff. It follows controversy over the designation of €9 million for phone pouches. Education Minister Helen McEntee is defending the spending.
I mean, I'm not saying that €9 million is not a lot of money. It is. It's part of a budget of €12 billion that I have for the whole department. This is money specifically to try and support kids in school, to make sure that where they're in school, they're learning. And that's what education is about. That's what our schools are about.
Looking now towards the weather, it's becoming drier and brighter this morning, and the afternoon will become brighter and brighter as well, with long spells of sunshine developing. Highest temperatures of 17 to 21 degrees in mostly moderate southerly winds. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Friday morning, June 13th. The death has taken place of Liam Gilmore, Bridge Street, Carndonagh. Liam's remains will repose at the home of his niece Katrina and her husband Jim Coyle, 14 Dunna Park, Carndonagh, from 12 p.m. today. Funeral from there on Sunday at 10:30, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish of Carndonagh. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Mary McElhenney, Lower Meva Downings. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving there, going to Holy Trinity Church, Carrigart, for a service of thanksgiving for the life of Mary at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Interment immediately afterwards in the family burial ground. The death has taken place of Grace McBride Downings and late of Philadelphia. Removal from the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, this evening at 6 o'clock, going to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrigart, to repose overnight. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. There will be a service of thanksgiving for the life of James Russell, Ballygig, Tralee, County Kerry, and formerly of Tirargus, Churchill, tomorrow in St Columba's Church, Churchill, at 3 p.m, followed by interment of his ashes in Garton Graveyard. Those who wish are welcome to attend. The death has occurred of Roisin Phillips, Needery, Ella Begg Burnfoot, formerly of Castle Avenue, Buncrana. Roisin's remains will be reposing at her son Jonathan's residence, Whitehill Road, Muff, today from 12 noon until 9 p.m. House is strictly private to family, please, on the morning of the funeral. Removal tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Angela Buckley, née Rob, 19 Westfield, Newton Cunningham. Angela's remains will be reposing at Drumboy Farm, Newton Cunningham. Funeral from there today at 10:15, going to All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by private cremation at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family time, please, before the funeral this morning. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Irish Cancer Society, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Raymond Blair, 18 Hillhead Road, Uriney, Strabane. Service of thanksgiving at his late home tomorrow at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in Strabane Cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Chest, Heart and Stroke Association. House private, please. Everyone welcome to the funeral service. The death has occurred of Bridget McCarran, Glass Mullen Dumfries. Remains are reposing at her residence. House strictly private at the request of the deceased, leaving there this morning at 10:15 for 11 o'clock Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Mary Blaney, Rosskirk Fanad, Requiem Mass, today at 12 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Massmount Fanad, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired. Donegal Hospice, Letterkenny, care of any family member or Eamon Scott Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Instead of lying on the beach all summer, Lucy's spending every weekend watching children's football matches. But while other parents are screaming, advice, Lucy's dreaming about the barbecue waiting for her at home, full of delicious burger goodness from Aldi. Butcher's Selection Irish lean beef burgers, topped with specially selected burger slaw, all served on a toasted brioche bun. Because parents need a post-match meal too. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
Welcome back to the programme. I was just listening back to an interview I did with Tony Canavan in October of 2023. I might try and dig some clips out of that and we can play them on the show at some point. Just really quite interesting, highlighting a lot of the issues that we're talking about now and sort of promises maybe to look at it into the future and sort of comparing, you know, where we were looking to go and where we are at now compared to just a short time ago at the end of 2023. It might make for some interesting listening. Thanks again to Deputy Charles Ward, Dr. Joe Kelly, Professor Pat O'Connor. That hour goes very quick and I feel sometimes I'm not giving everyone a shout, but we do try our hardest. Hi Greg, great discussion. Can you explain what will... sorry, can I just clarify something about the business plan for Letterkenny University Hospital? And I was being very honest when I said I was a little bit confused. My understanding is that there was a unofficial business plan put forward by medical professionals, but there wasn't a formal business plan submitted by Letterkenny University Hospital management, which might make sense as to why there's so much talk subsequently of a ambulatory centre. So again, I'm sorry to potentially give out wrong information because information came into me from two sources. So yes, there was a business plan that went on behalf of Letterkenny University Hospital, but it wasn't an official plan from the hospital management as far as I understand, hence the confusion. Hi Greg, great discussion. Can you explain what will happen now with this government's decision? As a HAP landlord, is the HAP cap going up? HAP has been well below market prices. What does it actually mean? Thanks. Well, to be honest with you, caller, I think there's a lot of people don't know the answer to that question, and I can't even chuck an opinion in because firstly, it's not an area that I'm very familiar with, so I can't really, I don't want to muddy the waters any further, but I can't find that type of answer to such a specific question. A caller says people are being prevented from building on their own family land. People have such a connection to their own land. I just think it's such a disgrace, and I referenced that in the first hour. One full load of ready mixed concrete founds for a garden wall, 1,140, rip off Ireland. It is indeed expensive. We got a bit of concrete delivered not so long ago, and I think it was 800 quid for a small enough patch. To health, the number of new patients awaiting a dermatology appointment in Sligo stands at 3,000, with over 1,100 in Letterkenny. The Sligo number has exponentially increased since Donegal GPs were instructed to refer directly to Sligo. And I believe that dermatologist under incredible pressure down there. Defective concrete, says a listener. I was speaking to a couple who got approved for demolition and rebuild for €400,000. But I was shocked to be told also that was subject to 23% VAT. So the government's winning every way. No wonder they're dragging their heels. And through that whole debate over the, which is ongoing. But I could never understand why the clawback was never factored in. And I referenced it a number of times on the show. And the fact that of this grant, the government claws back a quarter of it anyway. Do you know what I mean? So the grant could be far more attractive if there was a break on VAT specific to those houses. Deal done in the form of government. Marion Harkins, Donegal votes minus the South. Tip shall never be returned. Note that she may care, says a listener. A caller says Irish children as young as 7 are playing Grand Theft Auto on their PlayStations, Xboxes. Actually, I think is it PlayStation exclusive and PC. and they're being allowed to naively by their parents. Now with AI being able to overrule our realities, even real informed adult ones, we need a blanket ban on social media, phones, etc. And the companies need to play their part as well, as schools, government, and especially parents. No wonder rape, violence, drugs, etc. are rising. Our kids are playing these harmful games and being influenced online by their peer groups and extreme influencers. We need to be parents and say no. Are your kids playing GTA in the house? It's an adult world, GTA, and it's a city, and there's crime, there's shooting, there's foul language, there's prostitution, there's violence towards women, violence towards men. Obviously parents can make a decision whether children are old enough to be exposed to that, but I do wonder if we know exactly what they're playing in their bedrooms, and GTA is as adult as it gets. I mean, you can go into a blooming strip club and then go outside and engage with a prostitute. Do you know what I mean? That's what young girls and guys are able to do on GTA. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, or maybe you are, and I'm sorry for using crude language, but you have to sort of talk about what's going on. And Grand Theft Auto, it allows you to live the life of a gangster, for that matter, as bad as anyone you've ever seen portrayed in a film. And you immerse yourself into that. You build money up by robbing banks, selling drugs, prostitution, and so on and so forth. So if you don't know that about GTA, perhaps maybe you've learnt it now. It's just as adult as you can get, let me put it like that. I'm waiting to hear if any of the panel will ask why hasn't EduH submitted a plan for the proposed hub that's been mooted for a long time. Well, there you go. We've clarified that now. And I can't believe I've got to this stage of the conversation and only clarified that in my own mind. So it was an informal business plan from Letterkenny, no official one from management. That's what I've been told by people in the know. Hello, Greg. The simple reality about this health hospital issue is that our government's expecting there to be an united Ireland in the not too distant future. When this happens, Derry will become the surgical hub for the North West, shared with Sligo, and not have two hubs as close as Letterkenny and Derry. I mean, whatever that, if that is the plan, it's still a generation or two away. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but a caller said Fine Gael said they were going to privatise the health service and are trying to drive us to Ophidia and Ballykelly. I'm not sure about that being their policy, but that's what a listener believes. If I was in Australia for 15 years and came back, we'd still be listening to the same issues. It's constant talk about solutions, but no real solutions. And the only people to blame are the politicians who repeatedly failed to deliver. But I know this is not your point, but the same conversations are now having in Australia. Awful pressure on the housing market, house prices through the roof, deprivation, homelessness, high level of homelessness, and a growing disquiet about immigration into the country as well. These conversations are not just happening here, they're happening around the world. A caller says Paul Murphy's en route to Cairo airport for a global march to Gaza. Does Ireland not have enough issues for him to work on? Well, Paul Murphy can do what he wants, to be honest with you. I don't pay much heed to what he be's at. What's the panel's thoughts on what's happening in Ballymena at the moment? We are Irish Catholics, can relate all too well to it, considering it used to be us they were attacking. I don't know the ins and outs of it. We'll have a fair knowledge of it. I don't know how much of it's motivated by the core issue, how much of it is hangers-on with a good excuse to chuck stuff at the police. I don't know what the breakdown is. I think any community, and I mean, when I say community, I mean the broader community, not elements of that community, that goes in off the back of a post from a politician, if you believe. A politician posted that people that were being burnt out of their houses were in a leisure centre. Crazy. He posted where they were. What happened next? Well, they went in and burnt it down, didn't they? Imagine burning down your own leisure centre. So, I mean, is there any logic to that? As a teacher in a secondary school, I think the pouches were a start, not a daft idea, as your professor guest just said. There's a huge problem with teenagers on phones, and I see it every day. Unlike the deputy and lecturer there in front of you, Greg, I'd have spent 20 million to get them off their phones during class because destroying their education engagement and social interactions. Slinging mud at people trying to come up with some sort of a solution like the lecturer did there is typical of the response schools get from difficult students and parents when trying to deal with the mobile phone crisis. I'd love an all-out ban, but I doubt parents will accept this. They need to back the schools and not be indulging their children. That comes in from Barry. Barry, thanks for that. I really do appreciate interjections like that. where it's a different point of view and a very well thought out point of view, and a point of view that's maybe making me think a little as well. And that's what we want. We don't want hive mind here. We want all different types of views really, really appreciated. Right, so it's Father's Day on Sunday. And Father's Days and Mother's Day roll around. And for people like me, I've lost both my mum and dad. I don't find them too uncomfortable too. I loved my mum and dad. I had a fantastic relationship with both of them. No regrets, and I wish they were here, but I understand that they're not. And Father's Day or Mother's Day, it evokes happy memories for me. But for some people out there, especially those of you who lost your mum or dad recently, and even those that lost them 20 or 30 years ago, these events, I know they're tough. But that being said, we do mark them and we celebrate them. And now I'm a dad, of course, myself, and my children might want to, I don't know what they might do. Well, probably nothing, but that's fine. I don't really mind. But anyway, to celebrate Father's Day, we've got a quiz this morning. We're going to make it really easy, but we've got a number of prizes. We've got a €50 voucher for McGurk's Golf in Letterkenny, €50 voucher for O'Donnell's Fuel, Crawley and Illistrin, a €50 voucher for Century Complex Letterkenny, and a €50 voucher for Callahan's Electrical Letterkenny and Bird. It's got everything a man loves, or most men like. Things with plugs on, petrol and diesel for our strimmers that we can't start, maybe golf, and of course Century Complex to get out, have a pint and watch a film, or have something to eat, whatever you want to do. Maybe play virtual darts. So if you want, how are we doing that, Caroline? Because you haven't told me the mechanics of this. Just give us a ring, text us in if you want to enter. Right, so if you want to, we're going to bring you on air, just ask you a simple question. If you want to be within a chance, with a chance to win one of those 4 vouchers, just text your interest now. Text Father's Day to 086 60 25,000, your name and where you're from. So Father's Day, 086 60 25,000, your name and where you're from, and we'll randomly pick 4 of you to come on, or 5 or 6, dependent on how it goes a little later on in the show. So if you want to win a €50 voucher for McGurk's Golf, or €50 for O'Donnell Fuels, Crawley and Illistrin, €50 for Century Complex Letterkenny, or €50 for Callahan's Urenics Letterkenny and Bird for the family, for the man in your life, well, get in touch with us now. Text Father's Day to 086 60 25,000. Include your name and where you're from, and maybe your name will be drawn out of the hat and you can come on and answer a very simple little question. We're going to keep it really simple. We really need to come up with different things. We're going to play a song, right? That's what we always do. We just play a song. All right, back after these.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 13th of June. You're playing on the yellow sheet for the daily prize of €1,400. The reference number is S20. It's game number 24. The numbers are 6, 87, 57, 84, 68, 14, 78, 30, 27, and finally 21. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
If you're getting new furniture or it's time for a change, pay a visit to McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. There you'll find a selection of suites, beds and bedroom furniture, dining room and occasional furniture. You'll be amazed by the selection and pleasantly surprised by the prices. At McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny, and online at mcginleysfurniture.com.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Right, so Donegal Travellers Project, in partnership with Donegal County Council's Peace Plus partnership, has officially launched a new cross-community initiative under the theme Celebrating Cultural Diversity. In studio with me, we have... we welcome back into studio Anna Scully, who's Community Development Worker with Donegal Travellers Project. Hi, Anna.
Hiya.
Thanks so much for calling up to us. And Hugh Friel, who's with the Donegal Travellers Project. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, so how are we going to be celebrating cultural diversity? And is it maybe a little bit more important now? It's been ever important, but maybe a little bit more important now, Anna, than it has been.
Absolutely. I think, not just given recent events in the past week, but I suppose in recent months, I suppose it's coming at such a timely, it's a very timely project, and it's needed now more than ever. It's diversity and decision making, so it's promoting, increasing information and training in areas of interculturalism, intercultural communities, anti-racism, anti-discrimination, and building leadership within ethnic minority communities, black minority ethnic communities, including traveller and Roma communities, and building leadership within those communities in terms of delivering in this training and participating in those decision-making spaces. And I just think it can't come at a better time.
And can it be achieved? We're seeing a pushback on DEI, for example, diversity and whatever DEI, inclusion, and what have you. And also, too, obviously, at the moment, we're seeing an awful lot of, racially motivated stuff happening. So, is this a tide that can be pushed back, or are we changing our attitudes more broadly as a society and maybe not as open to this as we might have been even in this day last year?
No, I think it's possibly very easy to think that and become disillusioned and think the task is too hard to undertake. But we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't believe that it was possible. And we do believe this is a Peace Plus project. It's funded by the Special EU Programmes body and delivered through the Peace Plus partnership in Donegal County Council. So it is a county-wide, cross-border, cross-community project, and I think the whole ethos, I suppose, of Peace Plus has been to address sectarianism and promote that cross-border element. And the beauty of this is that it also, this project incorporates anti-racism and anti-discrimination into that. And I suppose communities that we're seeing now at the moment affected by, be it the rioting in Ballymena, be the rise of the far right, I think those communities have experienced extreme hardship. We're absolutely condemning the violence. But it can, I think we need to use the word "and" in our vocabulary a lot more. We can condemn the violence, but also understand where it comes from. And it comes from a place of huge inequality, huge hurt, that these communities have been neglected for generations. And I think, the ambition of this project, while absolutely it's a huge ask, the ambition is to bring communities together, to hear people's hurt, and build from that. Where do we go? Understanding the why, and then how do we go? How do we build a pathway from this? And I think, we have to stop pointing the finger at each other. As I think the civil rights activist from Derry, Eamon McCann, always says, punch up, not down. Work together rather than fighting and creating more division.
Well, that's it. And Hugh, I'll come to you, and I'll come back to you in a moment, Anna. You see, a lot of the problems, I think a lot of the problems that we have is, firstly, that people feel society isn't equal. Now, that could be minorities that feel it's not equal, but I think more so there are those in the broader community that think things aren't equal. You know what I mean? Hearing cases of elder people with cancer being thrown out of their homes, and they're going, well, why is that happening to me when there's a hotel within 5 kilometres of me where people are being housed for free? I'm not getting into that conversation. I'm not judging, but my point being is you see that stirs an emotion. Added to that, we don't mix enough. We don't integrate enough. We don't understand each other enough. We are in echo chambers, and there's and until such time as everyone feels that society is equal and we actually start to learn and know and understand each other, I just think that's the pathway. And I know this is part of that, right? But that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, and I think that, Greg, if you look at Donegal Travellers Project, we've always been steeped and embedded in the peace programme. And we believe in equality, we believe in diversity, we believe in making things better for all communities. And supporting the black and ethnic minority groups and travellers and Roma, and being from the traveller community, I see the inequalities every day that happens in relation to ethnic minority groups. And solidarity and being whole as one to tackle the inequalities that's happening. And this Peace Plus gives us that platform that we've already built on. I think it's not a new initiative, in terms of where we've come from and what we've achieved over the last 20 years. And, I concur that, people look and see and hear what they want to hear and see. as you said, somebody's been thrown out of their house, somebody in an iPass centre, they're better accommodation. People should go and live. Like, a novelty to stay in a hotel for a day or two, but would you live in a room for 6 to 8 months?
But if you've nowhere to live and you feel the state is letting you down, you would move into a room with your husband and you would take the 3 meals a day. I understand where you're coming from, Hugh, but I can't sit here on my hands. I know. The people I speak to would take that, and they're not getting that. But that sounds like I'm trying to drive a wedge, but I'm not, because the anger shouldn't then be against. From people in iPass centres to the people I'm talking of, or vice versa, right? The anger should be at, well, why does society feel unequal? But we're turning on each other. And if I were the decision maker, I'm sitting back going, this is working out quite well for me. Because there's infighting here, and they're not talking about me.
Like, divide and conquer has always been the kind of the agenda, the political agenda. And to keep minorities as the blame game it suits the political field. Travellers, BMEs and Roma are explicitly blamed for the society's issues in terms of the hospitals overcrowding, the homeless accommodation, the various things that people want to look at and say, this is because Ukrainians are in the country, our hospitals is not working. Our hospitals wasn't working anyway. Our GP systems wasn't working anyway. We always had issues in relation to inequalities in terms of cancer care and different various bodies throughout this county. We've always kind of been the neglected county when it comes to services.
But the counterpoint to that would be, Hugh, is if that's the case, fix the problems and then, be accommodating to people who need that accommodation, not exacerbate the problems with another failed policy. Anna, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, I think, I absolutely understand people's anger and frustration. We do, we understand that. And it's, that term justifiable anger. There is justifiable anger, and we need to listen to that. But I think the government do, as Hugh said, it suits them, it suits the establishment to sit back and allow people to point the finger at each other, when the reality is that, be it the communities that came in under EU funding, that was money that the government got from the EU for that specific housing for
Didn't come out of general
those
taxation.
people. And I think, we live under this illusion, and I think people are starting to come to that realisation, across, political affiliations. The majority of people understand that, there is money in this country, but the government that has been in place for the last 100 years has, generation after generation decided to put that money into, foreign direct investment, landlordism, and I think it's great that people are seeing that and calling that out, but we need to work together on that.
And I fully agree. But for instance, we really want to work hard to understand each other, to respect each other, okay? But how do you counteract when you could have, 20 crimes that are committed by, white Irish men, for an example, use that, and one crime committed by a person of colour, and then that's sort of everyone goes up in arms. There can be riots and protests. Do you get where I'm coming from? So I think until we sort of drill into where we're at now, it's going to make the brilliant work you're trying to do more difficult. And Craig, it's sort of, I mean, societally, we have to think about this ourselves. I think
when you look at the systemic racism that goes on in Ireland, and we talk about the protests now and the anti kind of iPad centres protests, and they're not enough services here. This building doesn't suit. We're not, all this kind of prompting, and there's concerns and genuine concerns, and people should be consulted. We're not saying that, but that happened in my community in the 70s and the 60s, the 80s in Dublin. I was watching a program
the 90s and noughties in Donegal.
Donegal,
being chased out of places.
Yeah. I watched protest people in housing estates in Dublin who had batons, who had nails full of to stop travellers moving into the state. Pulling in their caravans. So it's not a new thing for Irish to be.
The travelling community is 1% of the population, less than 1% about it. But things that it seems, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Hugh, are things not better now that in terms of the relationship between the traveller and settled community than they were in the 80s?
I think there's a lot more, I suppose, in terms of the relationship is a bit better because there's a lot more advocates like myself from the traveller community who can represent and articulate.
And now we're getting to where I was going with this.
Yeah.
And because we get to understand you more. There's better integration.
Yeah.
There's more respect for each other's cultures.
But there's still, Greg, racism, very blatant racism
there is,
out there
of course.
But
my point is I think the way things have improved is a better understanding, better respect of the travelling community for the settled community for the travelling community. And my point is I think whilst it's not perfect, right, and there's an awful long way to go, this is how we're going to have to approach things moving forward.
Oh, of course, and I think this project is, do you know what I mean? As I said, we've been doing this for the last over 20 years in relation to building kind of the interculturalism, diversity, equality training in relation to it, and the public sector in relation to, you know, making people understand the different norms and cultures and background from people from different countries, BMEs and travellers and Roma. And I think that kind of collaboration and understanding of where people's coming from might embed a better a dialogue of understanding when you're talking to your family members. And I always say, like, if you want to talk about equality, you want to talk about what's happening, start with yourself first. Because that's the first place you have to start.
But I think, you know, one simple thing that I think would be very, very helpful is if people who came here from different cultural backgrounds, if the public felt that there was some sort of a training as to the social norms here, you know, in terms of just general interactions and what have you. I think if there was a program whereby the wider public understood that there was, you know, classes whereby, you know, different countries are different and people behave different way. You know, like say if I go to Dubai, right, I know the way Dubai is set out, and if I want to be there, I have to respect it, right? And I think, and I hope this is not controversial, but I actually really think a great step forward here is if the general public understood that maybe people coming here from whatever background they might have, that there was classes on the cultural norms in this country and how we behave and interact and things like that there. As I say, I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I just really
no, it's not ruled out.
It's just like I go into other countries and I familiarise myself with, you know, what's acceptable. If you're a woman going into Dubai, right, you know that that you have to dress more discreetly, for an example. Do you know what I'm on about? And even the way this country is now, I feel like I'm being almost a little bit racist in saying what I'm saying, but I'm trying to come up with I think
it's a partnership approach, Greg, in relation to, you know, us learning from them and them learning from us, and then more than me working, you know, as the Roma health coordinator.
My proposal would make it feel like the balance is
the balance, but I'm saying working with the Roma community in terms of me being a member of the traveller community, like, it's been an eye-opener in relation to the culture, in terms of the norms. There's similarities in relation to that, but there's so much beauty within that as well.
Of course there is, and it's a wonderful culture, and we've a lot to learn. But are the Roma community being educated about the social norms in Ireland?
I feel like we need to be very careful. I understand where you're coming from with that, but I think we need to be very careful. Of course, you know, when we go to different countries and different, like, where there's different cultures, you know, we adapt and we're conscious of that. I think we need to be very careful how we do that. You know, one of the ambitions of this project is, you know, to not just deliver the 15 hours of training to 265
but can I
people,
just say, by the way, I'm going to dig really deep into this, but and I'm not cutting across you, Anna, and maybe different guests we could have this conversation, but what we're doing now is not working. And I think we need to maybe look at all.
Well, I just think, just to finish that point that I was making, is that, you know, we need to be very careful how we do that. I think there's a very fine line between understanding each other's cultures and customs, and being, you know, cognizant of that, and also then crossing that line into imposing our culture on them, and imposing, you know, an expectation that people will, you know, assimilate into. No. And I think that's the ambition.
That's not it.
No, but I'm just making that point that that's a delicate thing that we need to manage.
Okay, here it is. I'll not be delicate. I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. How you engage with women. Do you know what I mean? In different societies, there's different ways of doing it. Women have different class statuses in different class societies. So I'm just going to be honest, Greg, because I was trying to pussyfoot around it, but there's one example. I'm not saying people should assimilate and become Catholics. I'm just saying that we need the stuff. I believe there could be programs, educational programs or whatever, that everyone could learn more about each other and we could interact in a more constructive way.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry if I've said something that upsets you. I'm just
I'm not upset. it would take more than that to upset me, Greg.
But I know. I'm just going to say the quiet bit out loud.
No, I hear
right?
what you're saying,
okay.
but I think, I suppose when we talk about culture, we talk about community, we talk about religion. There's huge diversity as well within cultures and within communities. No more than our own culture, I think.
But the way I don't go out as much as I did in the past, but socialised an awful lot with members of the travelling community because we shared the same pub, right? And I learned so much from them, and they learned so much from me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I learned more from they than they.
Absolutely.
That's what
and
me.
I think that's absolutely.
I didn't all of a sudden want them to come and live in the house next door to me if they happen to live a different way. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you that the beauty of these events, these community events, will be the opportunity to create spaces for people to come together from both minority and majority populations and have those conversations. Absolutely. So
and also too,
we're on the same page.
Exactly.
Coming at it a different way.
We'll talk more about the programme itself because also too. There's different opinions within all of the communities, right? And not everybody's scared, not everybody's angry, not everybody, So talk to me about what's going to be happening over the next wee while as part of this initiative, Anna or Hugh.
I think. Look, there's going to be a number of. There's over 10 training initiatives, and 300 and something people have to register for.
So a minimum of 265 people for 15 hours.
So I think, your point, Craig, around that in relation to interaction with the public sector duty sector and all that, and that interaction, then that's fine. But and the programme will do that. And the wider contents of it, we have to look at the bigger contents in terms of the community, right? So it's good for the HSE, it's good for the Donegal County Council, it's good for other agencies and staff to come on to get the cultural diversity training and awareness and interact in terms of the different cultural norms and perspectives and have that safe kind of environment space to dialogue around, what's happening between, different countries, da-da-da-da-da. I think our job as well is in relation to the wider community, as you said. How do we reach out in relation to the wider community who's not interacting, who's not looking to, I suppose, be to the cultural perspective and how can we create a better county in relation to diversity and to culturalism. And I think that's the process that we, within the cultural platform, that we're trying to establish and do on a daily basis. And it's a difficult space. There's no putting any tape over it. It's a real difficult space at this difficult moment. And I think it's a new era in society where, this type of kind of racist behaviour is acceptable. In some contents, and if you look at it of the media profiles of some of the TikTok, the Instagrams, the institutes of running after somebody who's of a black person and saying there's a paedophile and the person can't even defend themselves or speak or maybe did nothing to instigate that kind of thing. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be talked about. The right, accurate data in relation to what's happening. And I think we've gone a very down a portal in terms of believing everything we hear and see on social media. A lot of people wouldn't realise AI and stuff and what people's doing or how they conduct themselves.
Some people's it's their lived experience, though, Hugh.
I'm not denying that.
And I know there are those in social media that monetize it. That's their job.
No, 100%. But I'm not saying that. I'm not taking away from the genuine, things that happen and people put it up. I'm on about the instigation of racist profiling.
That's their job.
That's what I'm talking about, Craig. And I think it's our perspective on doing this in terms of we want to make a better society. We want to make a more inclusive society for all. We want to ensure that people have the right health services, the right education. So we're when we're talking about this, we're talking for on all society. We're not talking about white Irish people. That's so it's a very controversy.
And Anna, of course it is. But if you look at some of the football clubs in and around Letterkenny, or some of the men's organisations, or some of the women's groups, or what have you, there's great diversity in them already. People are. You know what I mean?
That's great to see.
They're that's the profile. It's people of all and. What you hear isn't we had some guys up here from a football club and there was a couple of Brazilian lads or Argentinian lads and all that and they get on like a house on fire. They love it and love learning about each other. It's a case, I suppose, of fostering that, isn't it?
Absolutely, and building on that. And I suppose, this is a diversity and decision-making project, so it's, the ambition is to bring what's already established in communities and build that into those decision-making spaces, because I think absolutely, there's huge representation and huge inclusion at a community level. But maybe not so much in the decision-making structures within our county and within the country.
So how do people get involved in this? So talking just more specifically about the project itself, Anna, right? And I know Hugh referenced it, but I just want to park maybe the debate on where we're at and where this is about where we're going, okay? And efforts to try and improve it, and every little helps. So just run through me again, or maybe it's you, I don't know whose responsibility this is. Just talk to me about the diversity in decision-making project. Who's involved? How's it run?
So I suppose 2 weeks ago, we have, for the last 2 weeks, we've got 2 staff in place now that are leading out in the project on both our Peace Plus projects. We're here to talk about just one, but we've got 2. And they'll be leading out in that. And I suppose it's a huge undertaking, but we have full faith that they can pull it off. So over the 2 years, that will be their role in recruiting those 265 participants across the county. So they will be knocking on doors and reaching out to public agencies, institutions, third level colleges, to recruit those participants for those 15 hours over the 2 years. So it really, I think the beauty of it is that it's about leaving a legacy behind. It's a 2-year project, but we do hope that this huge investment, which we're so grateful to have and be working with Donegal County Council on, will be there for years to come after this project finishes. So yeah.
And how does the project work? What happens in these collections of people?
So the training will be designed by the 2 staff.
The leads,
and it will incorporate, I suppose, 15 hours that can be broken up, maybe 3 5-hour sessions or two full days, whatever way that will look like. But it will incorporate, I suppose, interculturalism, anti-racism, diversity, building intercultural community.
And the idea being that those people
build
go
relationships.
And it's sort of...
I suppose the idea, as an example, I suppose, if it was students, maybe in, be it nursing or social care or whatever that might be, that those people then are fully trained in this area, and then when they go out into their workplaces, that feeds out then into those workplaces and into those communities where they're working and living and building that. We all learn from our different work and the different people that we work with. And I suppose
it's one of those things. I mean, maybe it's easy, but it might be hard. It's not necessarily like there's a key KPI at the end of it that you can say this is success. It's about putting it out there organically.
But
I mean, down the line. Sorry, I'm not. I know the money will be well tracked and spent, but I mean just. I'm on about sort of, you talked about the legacy. I'm on about sort of what impact this might have in a long time to come.
That's a hugely important part of the delivery of the project as well, is tracking that attitudinal change, that qualitative aspect as well. It's not just about numbers in the door.
That'll be challenging, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's not just about, I suppose, bums on seats and numbers in the door. It's about,
so track their experiences and how they implement it.
When they begin, and then attitudes at the end of the 2 years. So that's a hugely important part, I suppose, as well.
Hugh?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say what Anna said there. It's really transformative in terms of if you get involved in it, and it's attitudinal change from the very outset. That you do a survey on your attitude and behaviour, and then at the end how's that affected you, how's the course affected you. So it's around that attitudinal change that we're trying to achieve and achieve the bigger outcome of community change as well in relation to what's happening out there at the minute, and people's thinking around black and ethnic minority groups and travellers and Roma, and we're trying to ensure that equality is really at the heart of this in terms of.
And do you know what? It actually, all of this conversation actually comes back to 3 words that are pretty much in the press release, and that's connection, cooperation, and respect.
Yeah.
Which makes society better for everyone, doesn't it? That's a nice way to live, even in your own blooming family, let alone the whole community.
Yeah. And I think it takes me back to the school there a few months ago. I was up and they're doing the Yellow Flag program, and I went into the hall, and they have a student from every part of the world in school, and I was looking at the diversity and the culture within the room, and it was lovely to see that we were there at that and the kids were all interacting with each other, and they were so happy and thing. And then you go outside to the nastiness of it, of these I suppose
agitators of
racism, and them children suffer because people have conversations at home, parents and uncles and aunties and brothers and sisters around BMEs and iPads and different things, and it creates that stigma, that racial motivated kind of attitude, and children start to divide and start to, and the teachers.
Ballymena was seeing 10-year-olds throwing petrol bombs in houses with children in. So we seem to have crossed that.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a word for it.
I suppose to go back to that pyramid of hate, when we don't check those racist jokes, those discriminatory jokes, be it in workplaces or in homes and the pub, wherever it might be, that manifests and that festers and it builds into what we're seeing in Ballymena to I suppose one of the most violent forms of racism that you can have. And I suppose it's really. It's disgusting to see in 2025 that's where we're at.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone wants to see society descend to that. Anna Scully, listen, thanks so much. Anna Scully is Community Development Worker with Donegal Travellers Project. Hugh Friels with the Roma Health Coordinator now with the Donegal Travellers Project. Okay, brilliant stuff. Keep up the great work, Hugh and Anna. Thanks so much for the conversation.
Thank you,
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
Congratulations to Geraldine, Edward and Liam on the grand opening of their newly renovated Rosie's Bar and Lounge Drumkeen. Join the celebrations with live music all weekend. Best wishes from all at Bonner's Quarry.
Grab half-price broadband in the Virgin Media Playhouse. For this month only, all our broadband speeds are half price. That's lightning-fast connection from just €35 a month, locked in for 12 months with no activation fee. Why wait? Enjoy speeds from 500 megs to 5 gigs right now. All for half price. Available nationwide. See virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. New customers only, €35 per month for 12 months for 500 meg broadband. Half price on 12-month broadband contracts only and based on after-offer prices for all speeds. Offer ends 2nd of July. T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie.
Step out of the ordinary and into the new Lexus LBX. Because this is the luxury compact SUV reimagined in every detail. Where style, elegance and innovation define a new kind of driving experience. It's your world. Make it extraordinary. Experience the new LBX Hybrid at your Lexus retailer. Available with a range of flexible payment options. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Your local dealer is Lexus Letterkenny.
We're serving up summer at Dunnes Stores and it's barbecue season. Mix and match 3 for €10 across a fantastic range of meat and fish. Try something vibrant like succulent king prawns. Or enjoy Broadband quality assured meats like piri piri chicken wings or new hot honey pork belly slices and many more. Any 3 for just €10. Plus, save at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up? Fresh colour for your walls? Or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
This year, every organisation with over 50 employees must highlight the difference in pay between men and women, the gender pay gap. Because if we highlight it, we can all work to close it. So whether you work in boardrooms, showrooms, front rooms, stock rooms, or not in rooms at all, if you have 50 or more staff, you must report it by November 30th. Let's all highlight the difference to make a difference. Visit gov.ie/gender pay gap to learn more.
Sometimes you have to simply enhance what you have. Like the new Opel Mokka. With a new infotainment system, dash, and interior. It's had a little work done. After all, it's what's on the inside that counts. As with the outside, why mess with perfection? The new Opel Mokka. It's a head-turner. Available in petrol, hybrid and electric. Find out more at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details.
Come celebrate the 20th anniversary Vintage Day in Kerrykiel this Saturday 14th. Enjoy a fantastic family day with live music, kids activities, butter making, mascots, tilt walkers, vintage cars and tractors, plus a fun-filled dog show. That's the Kerrykiel Vintage Day this Saturday from 12 noon at the church grounds in aid of church funds and local charities.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So it'll become drier and brighter as this morning wears on, and this afternoon too, with long spells of sunshine developing. A largely dry and fine evening is forecast. Temperatures 17 to 21 degrees. On Sunday, rather cloudy for a time on Sunday with a few showers spreading from the west. It'll become sunnier later in the day. Temperatures 15 to 18 degrees. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because Donegal are in action on Sunday, and many of you will be travelling there. There are some concerns about some road works that might interrupt your journey. So Oisín Kelly is going to be joining us. I suppose I'll ask him how he thinks Donegal might fare and the ramifications of the two games that are taking place at the same time on Sunday. But maybe he'll be able to give you some advice as to how best to make your way safely to Roscommon. Yes, I agree with your idea about teaching these communities our social norms and acceptable behaviour towards women, for example, and I'd like to know if these communities are contributing to any of the tax take in the country. I'm not particularly happy about how the government is spending our hard-earned tax contributions and my views and services which I expect are not considered or delivered. We are living in 2025. To be a real traveller, you are 16 and 17. Well, I don't know the background to the travelling community. I'm going to park that and do a bit of research and then read it out, because I certainly don't want to just sit here reading things that offend people. The difference in culture is a huge issue, says a listener. Many who come here do not understand our culture. I couldn't go to Dubai and walk with my gay husband up the main street because I know there would be repercussions. But men are coming here and treating women like trash as they do in Afghanistan. Why are we having to tolerate but other countries simply wouldn't? I'm not saying, but this is nothing that is exclusive to Ireland, and I'm not saying people should adjust their cultures, and probably I shouldn't have said what I said, but I was trying to give a real world example about things that maybe, if were happening, might help us everybody interact better. Because cultural diversity works when everyone mixes together and understands each other. That's I think, not a controversial point of view. And if you just have different groups of people living in the same area but not interacting, I don't think that works very well, but I could be wrong. Hugh, for God's sake, listen to yourself. Yes, our hospitals were overcrowded before people started to come, but by taking more people into Ireland, what does this do? It puts more pressure on the hospitals, and then they give these people free everything, even an engine for their car. That's an isolated incident, but I understand what you're on about. Fix things at home first before we take thousands into this country. Another, tell your guests that the ethnic and Roma communities are very well treated in Ireland and maybe better than the Irish that are in dire need. Services are at breaking point with all this immigration. Another, does anyone know how to go about getting full skips removed from outside houses in a housing estate? We're afraid they could draw rats, etc. They have been there for months now. So have they been provided by the local authority? Give the council a ring. Or maybe, I don't know what's going on there. If you have an idea as to what's going on, let us know and we can go to the right people to get an answer. There's an oil spill on the dual carriageway coming into Letterkenny. Drive with care. A lot of cars sliding over it. Okay, be really careful. Oil spill on the dual carriageway coming into Letterkenny. Take care. Hopefully it'll be out and sanded soon.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
The Clonmany Agricultural Show Monster Draw. €100,000 in prizes. First prize, a Veltra tractor or Skoda Kodiaq car. Second prize, a Can-Am Outlander 500cc quad or €10,000. Plus 8 other cash prizes. Tickets are available now online at clonmanyshow.com or from any committee member. This would be a great Father's Day gift.
The moment you got told the good news.
Rob, you made the panel.
When the lads added you into the group. Skipping nights out, missing the crack. Rewatching classics and learning new tricks. Being driven to the biggest game of your life by your mam. And then you finally come on in the 51st minute. It's the minor moments that last a lifetime. The Electric Ireland GAA Minor Championships. This is major.
Looking for a new car today? Go to any Nissan dealer and say you want 4K your way. Nissan's new 4K Your Way deal lets you choose €4,000 towards financing a new Nissan or €4,000 as a trade-in bonus. This offer is available on 4 Nissan models, the Qashqai, Duke, X-Trail or Aria. So if you're looking for a 252 car today, don't delay. Get 4K your way. See nissan.ie for details. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Northwest Regional College has launched its exciting range of part-time courses starting this September, and enrolments are now open. Whether it's a new skill or a new career direction, there's something on offer for everyone. We have hundreds of professional and technical course options to choose from. To find out more, visit nwrc.ac.uk/part-time. Enhance your career today by enrolling on a part-time course at Northwest Regional College.
Morning Auctioneers, estate agents and valuers will host a plant and machinery auction at their yard in Dromahall, Manor Cunningham this Friday 13th and Saturday 14th of June. Friday from 1pm sharp, around 1,000 small items are up for auction. On Saturday from 10am sharp, there's over 800 lots of plant and machinery. Viewing available all day Thursday and Friday. Please inspect items carefully, as all sales are final once the hammer falls. See Facebook for items and more details. Online bidding and catalogue available on Martai. That's this Friday and Saturday at Morning Yard, Dromahall, Manor Cunningham.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it's 11 o'clock. We've got lots coming up in the next hour. Roisin Kelly's going to be talking sport and travel, believe it or not. But it all interacts because Donegal are playing Mayo in Dr. Hyde Park. We've got a bit of music for you. And so much more besides, so stay right where you are between now and 12. But at 11, let's say good morning once again to Donna Marie Doherty with the news.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The hosepipe ban that's been in place in Milford for over a month is to be extended until the August bank holiday. Nationally, 21 locations across the country remain in a drought status, some of which are located here. Damien O'Sullivan, Ishka Aaron's Water Network Operations Manager for Donegal, says with more warm weather on the way, the system will be under even more pressure. Over €297,000 has been allocated to Donegal under the Local Enhancement Programme. 196 local projects have been awarded sums of up to €5,400. Top awardees include the Churchill Community Development Group, Neve Nalia GAA and LGFA, and the Ards Men's Shed. Children making their confirmation next year will be encouraged to take the pledge to not smoke cigarettes or vape. Up until now, the traditional pledge has only covered alcohol and drugs. Catholic primary schools will now incorporate smoking and vaping into the pledges made by 6th class children. The construction of a multi-million modular build will get underway on Monday at Scull Columkill in Letterkenny. The €4.2 million development will include 2 state-of-the-art autism classrooms, 2 mainstream classrooms and 3 support classrooms. Principal Parg Cannon says he's delighted with the pace of the project under the Rapid Delivery Scheme. And finally, British MPs have started debating the next stage of the Assisted Dying Bill, but there will be no vote on the legislation today. It will allow people in England and Wales with less than 6 months to live the right to end their own lives. The UK Parliament's hearing both sides of the argument and amendments to the bill which have been proposed by backbenchers. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 12 noon.
Thanks, Donna Marie.
Every business has a story to tell. And as Ireland's leading delivery experts, On Post Commerce is helping more businesses connect, trade and thrive on a bigger scale. Give your customers confidence with our next day delivery service. Save on postage with an Advantage card. Or scale up your business with the e-commerce hub, connecting you to customers in Ireland and beyond. Grow with On Post Commerce today. On Post Commerce. Making better happen.
All right, I'm in studio with Roisin Kelly, and what a weekend we have in store for us. We'll have traffic and travel in a moment, but I'm sort of looking at Ulster clubs here. Derry against Dublin in Newry, Galway playing Armagh at the same time. That is in Group 4. Just from a Derry perspective, they're on 1 point Galway on a point, Dublin on 2 points, Armagh on 4. Is there a path into any element of the next round for Derry?
Of course there is. Greg, that group's that tight. We know Armagh's through no matter what's going to happen. They go to the quarterfinals, but it's all who's going to finish second and third. A Derry win should be enough to secure passage through. And listen, they've got a point, and it could be the case depending on score difference. If, of course, Derry lose out, and then they're waiting on the result then to come from the Armagh game, that a side in that group 4, actually could go to the prelim quarterfinals and stay in the championship with just 1 point on the board. So that's a possibility.
And on to round robin group 1. Donegal, Mayo, Tyrone, Cavan all on 2 points. Donegal top in the table. There's lots of factors in here. There's head-to-heads and all that type of stuff. I mean, really, Jim,
where do you want me to start on this?
I was going to say, I mean, bottom line though is it's in our hands. We have to go and beat Mayo.
If everybody draws, the table's going to stay the way it is, Greg.
Right.
Listen, Donegal. They know that a victory, even if they don't win, they can still progress through and the championship.
Tyrone beat Cavan, doesn't it? Have to beat Cavan.
Okay, we'll look at it, right? Yeah. So for Donegal to make the quarterfinals, Donegal have to win, and they need Cavan to beat Tyrone or Cavan and Tyrone to draw, because it comes to head and heads. If that was the case, Donegal and Cavan would finish in the same amount of points, but Donegal have beaten Cavan. So if Donegal and Tyrone win, Tyrone will top the group by way of head-to-head and go to the quarterfinals. Donegal will have home advantage in the prelims the following weekend. A Mayo win would secure a quarterfinal if Tyrone beat Cavan, because that goes to head-to-heads again. Defeats for Mayo and Cavan would see Mayo actually exit the championship on the head-to-head rule because they lost to Cavan. Defeats for Donegal and Mayo would see Tyrone exit on the head-to-head rule because Mayo defeated Tyrone. And if Donegal lose and Cavan won, Donegal would exit the championship on the head-to-head.
And what that all really means is that the Donegal versus Mayo game is very important for both teams.
Very important for both teams, but more so for Mayo, which can make them a very, very dangerous
because there are some dead rubbers, right? But this is not one of those. No. And this is a proper championship game because it's
without a doubt,
all on the line.
Without a doubt, it's there's so much on the line, and as I said, for Donegal, they are more than capable of going out and winning in Dr. Hyde Park this weekend. They have an exceptional squad. There has been a lot of football played, yes, but there's no doubt that they are good enough to beat Mayo. Mayo, however, have maybe had the upper hand on Donegal in recent times. Since Donegal took that victory in 2012 in the All-Ireland, really since then Mayo have had
there's an issue with form here and figuring it out because it's all been a bit topsy-turvy, and it's not just in fact maybe Armagh are the standout team in all of the round-robin groups that have shown a bit of consistency. I know Dan have done all right too, and Kerry, but my point is that, you know, there's been some strange results in this whole process as well.
Particularly for teams who have played in provincial finals, and take Armagh out of that equation. Take Armagh out of that equation because they played in the Ulster final and they won their 2 games against 2 big teams so far and already through to the quarterfinals. But the rest of the teams that were involved, again, exclude Kerry from it, have all sort of suffered in the All-Ireland series. We went down to Tyrone because we had to play a game 2 weeks later. Cavan did put us up to this, but we were exceptional in the second half against Cavan the last day. So the All-Ireland series isn't really...
My question to you is, a rout against Cavan in the second half, what happened against Tyrone? What are we going to be doing against Mayo?
The first thing is, Greg, we've had a break, okay? Because you're not playing games week on week. There has been a break there. Donegal, it's all about mainly this time of the year recovery. You do have your base done from earlier in the year. It's all about recovering the bodies and just keeping, I suppose, a level of what you want topped up. But that break over the last couple of weeks certainly will favour Donegal because they would have been given that wee bit of more extra time to rest the bodies. Now my concern is for Donegal going forward, and is if we don't top the group, we don't have a break. Game. We've got 3 you have to play 3 consecutive weekends. Now Donegal aren't the only team that's going to do this, so they're not. But that's the squad. You need a fully fit squad, and you have to utilise that the best you can.
And
over
McGuinness
the next
is
3
definitely
weekends.
focused on that. But we did run out of steam. Was against Galway. where just the legs seem to have been gone.
That was the All-Ireland semi-final, was it, John? But
So,
and Jim would say that.
Can we? We've improved since then.
Oh, hugely.
Fitness-wise, I mean.
Hugely improved. So we haven't. But
and do you know the best way to actually, I think, to log that fitness improvement is actually in Michael Murphy.
Yeah.
Because
probably playing the football of his life.
Yeah, but how he progressed, like he was fit as a fiddle at the first, but you could genuinely see, the team getting fitter, the cramps coming on later or not at all, players able to come back into the fray. So it's all positive, but it's gonna be squeaky bums. I'm sorry,
it's gonna be a very very intriguing afternoon and Dr. Hyde Park. I'm not going to use that term now, but it definitely is, with so much on the line for both counties. And if Donegal hope to get their direct to a quarterfinal, they do need to win and hope that they get a favourable result from the other game, of course, which is taking place. And the team has been announced as well, Greg, this morning. So Brilliant. Jim McGuinness has announced the side, which shows 3 changes from the team that started the last day against Cavan. Sean Patton is named again in goals. Now, he was named last week.
Twice.
Named so, but it seems to be that he is going to be available this weekend. Jim mentioned after the last day that the players were on their way back and should be available for the game. So we'll take him on his word. Sean Patton is named to start, and it's
That's
understood
big.
It's huge. It's huge. And that's not taking anything away from Gavin Mulroney.
Of course not.
Who took up the position for the last 2 games
and also improved
done very,
in that process.
and done very, very well. Now, Gavin's not named in the 26, so there must be an injury there with Gavin because Dunloe man Danny Rogers, who starred for Donegal in goals at underage minor under 21 level, he's actually named at number 16 as the backup goalkeeper. So we wait to see, will Sean Patton, he is named to start, will that actually happen?
Like it though, doesn't it?
And if it's the case where he's not going to be, is Danny Rogers going to be the man in goals for the game? So that's one of 3 changes. Darrell Boyle's back in, Oisín Gallen's back in as well. Mulroney, Keelan McColgan and Patrick McBurty are the players who drop out of the 15. Now, Jason McGee is named in the 26. We expect to see him get some game time. He did play in the Ulster final. He's been hampered with injury this year. He's a big man that you will need around the middle of the park, because Michael Murphy has been doing a lot of that work over the last couple of games. So he has, and he needs a bit of help.
Yeah, for sure.
Keelan McGonigal, who has been fantastic at 6, but can also play a role in midfield. He's not named in the 26. He has that injury. We wait to see how long he will be out with that injury. Is it for another couple of weeks, or is the season done? We don't know. Maybe Jim will give us a bit of light on that after the game come Sunday. But Keelan McGonigal is not named in the 26, but Jason McGee is. And Niall O'Donnell seems to be still carrying an injury as well. He's not named in the 26. Okay. So that's a bit of team news. Everybody else is available. Michael Murphy named again to start.
Of course, but you don't want a situation where everything's going through him, because if that plan,
as the season goes on,
then
it's back to the point I made earlier. For the next number of weeks, you are going to have to utilise your full squad,
and you're going to have to play differently at times. But that having Patton back in helps in all of that. As well.
Having Sean Patton back is hugely important.
So who's the commentary team? Is it you and Brendan again?
The 2 Brendans are on board.
Davy
and Brendan
Kilcoyne. I think you've just got this commentary team is perfect. I love the balance. Brendan Devaney's a bit of a dose, but no, I'm only joking. No, I think
he's probably not listening to you.
Is he not? All right, that was a waste. All right, no, but
listen, they know the football.
They
know the football, and the environment that we try to do our work
so
the best in is very comfortable. Getting there is the one. Yeah. Now, the first thing we'll say, the Donegal support in Cavan was huge.
Yes,
and it played a factor in it.
Critical.
So it did, and again, the call is out for Donegal supporters to hit the road. I know it can be costly on families and supporters trekking around the country after Donegal, but it does mean a lot. And if they can attend the game, it will add. You will become, as they say, the 16th man. There's always that age when Donegal are out in big numbers. But the trek down may be, I suppose, disrupted is the best way to say it, because there is roadworks en route to Roscommon and Dr. Hyde Park. So if you're heading to the game on Sunday, you have to bear in mind the part of the N61 is closed. The road between Boyle to Tulsk and from Elphin to Tulsk are closed, and diversions will be in place. Now, there is 2 options, but the main option is, because you're on main roads, is from Boyle to French Park and then back onto the N5 to Tulsk. You have to bear in mind as well that a lot of Mayo traffic will be coming on that road. That is the best road to take, so it is. And that is the route that the Gardaí are requesting that Donegal supporters take, because it is a main road. The other option is you can go from Boyle to Elphin and then to Strokestown and then on to Roscommon. The road wouldn't be as good, but all we can tell you is if you are going, leave early, give yourself lots of time, because the traffic is going to be heavy, because it's a case that the traffic of both sets of supporters seem to be all coming in the one side of town.
I take it all of these roadworks and closures were announced after they chose Dr. Hyde Park.
Yeah,
no.
Seems to be. Well, Dr. Hyde Park came out, and then there was the thing. Oh, hang on a minute, there's road.
I know, it should have thought about it.
I wouldn't be happy with it. Now I know Donegal didn't want to go to Croke Park for this game, but like the way I look at this is the Mayo players are able to sleep in their own bed on Saturday night. Yeah. Where Donegal have to trek down the country, have an overnight stay. Like the Mayo players are only going to travel an hour, maybe some less than that to get to the game.
And some Donegal players have to travel an hour to get to Donegal town,
just to get the bus to go down. Like, so I think from that point of view, it is a bit unfair, but it might have been the best venue because Marchvick Park's not available. In Sligo, could they have taken it somewhere else to Brewster Park and Enniskillen and played Tyrone? But that decision was made. There's nothing. We have to deal with it. It is.
And
it
also
is what it is.
As you say, it's probably going to be unfamiliar roads for anyone going down and particularly coming back. Please drive safe. And I know I'm not preaching to you, and you're probably older than me. You probably don't. But we don't want anyone getting hurt on the way down or on the way back. And sometimes when you're up to High Dome, maybe there's 4 or 5 in the car and you're not used to the weight in the car and stuff, and you're on back roads and you don't know the bumps and the turns, just exercise real caution and leave early to ensure that you can take your time, stop for a coffee and a wee or a jambon or whatever it might be, and just make a day of it. A little bit of extra time, much less stress, and everyone home safe. That's what we want.
Because parking around Roscommon is going to be tight as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it is. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of parking around the area of Dr. Hyde Park. So get down there early, get on the road early, take your time going down, get your spot, park your car, mingle in the town. Big games like this are always great occasions. There's great banter between Mayo and Donegal, and there's a big rivalry between them as well. But as I said at the start, Donegal are more than capable of getting a result out of this game and staying on course.
And just the way things are now, that if you want to get into the mood or even listen to programmes on your way down, download the podcast. We've got the DL debate from Monday. I think it was John Gilday on and a national journalist on with Brendan. We have the score from last night with our own Oisin Kelly.
Do you know who was on it?
No.
Ryan Bradley.
Don't come into me on
Ryan Bradley,
2012
All-Ireland
Thursday
winner.
morning and plug it.
I thought you had been listening.
I was doing a podcast last night, and I'll tell the listeners about that in a mo. Actually, I'll say it now if that's all right. Vincent and Marty, V&M, I risked doing their podcast, and we sat and chatted for an hour, nearly 2 hours actually. So they're going to have to trim some of that out. It's just a chit chat. If you're interested in that, it goes live on their social media, Spotify and what have you on Sunday. So that's me on the V&M podcast on Sunday, and as I say, it's a bit of crack. I didn't swear, which I think was really quite impressive. But check that out from Sunday. What was I going to say?
Did they go easy on you?
Oh yeah, lovely lads. They're great. Yeah. They're great boys, and they're doing it for all the right reasons to try and get men chatting and stuff. And also too on our website, there's just a ton of GEA stuff. Now the show goes live. I mean, do you know covering a game now compared to 20 years ago? Do you know these build-up programs and the podcasts and everything? It's really brilliant stuff, right? But the game, you go live with your coverage when on Sunday.
Well, the game's
frozen here for some reason.
Yeah, the game is at 4:00 and we'll be live from 3:30ish with the build up to the game, and obviously we'll be recapping what took place on Saturday night as well, because Derry are playing on Saturday evening at 6:30 in their clash with Dublin, and the Donegal game is at 4 in Tyrone. We can't forget about our Tyrone listeners who will be hoping that they won. They know that if they take victory, they are assured. That is if Donegal won, that they will go direct to the quarterfinals.
Very exciting. Did you kick any cables in onto the desk by any chance? No? I think you might have.
Oh,
yes.
Oh,
have you discovered the problem?
There's something lying on the floor.
I think you've kicked your camera.
Did I kick the camera off?
For about 20 minutes. Yeah. All right, good stuff. We'll get
apologies about that. There is an end of a cable at my foot. Yeah.
You're the head of IT as well as the head of sport. You can deal with it all.
That means we have to get under the desk now and pull all the trumpet apart to try and get this thing
I think he's the other one
fixed
that's
again.
two functional, got fully functional bodies. We've got one of the young guys in. All right, thanks very much.
Right,
good
Greg,
luck
and
with
the best
that on
luck to Donegal
Sunday.
the weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
Donegal. Yeah.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Discover the hidden gem of Letterkenny, La Papa Kitchen and Coffee House. Indulge with friends in delicious Buddha bowls, pastas, light bites and organic coffee. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Remember the name, La Papa, located next to KO Fitness and McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Road. Open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, 10 until 2 on Sundays. Closed Saturday and Sunday of Rally Weekend.
Go electric during our 252 event and discover our full range of rewired iconic Ford cars, including the all-electric Explorer, the all-new Capri, and the Puma has gone fully electric, starting from €29,900. Ford have gone electric. Ireland is going electric. So what's stopping you? Go electric. Book your test drive at Ford.ie. Offer ends 15th of June. Price includes grant and BRT relief and excludes delivery and related charges. T's and C's apply.
Please don't break. Please don't break. Phew. Did your boiler just clank and rattle through another winter? That's got to feel good. For now, anyway. And if you switch from oil to Caller, you'll keep that good feeling going all through next winter too. Right now, homes not on the gas network get a free boiler, plus the first winter of home heating on us when they switch. Caller, the energy that connects us. Terms and conditions apply. See calorgas.ie for details.
Brian McCormick Sports. New Hoka trainers in-store and online. Try the new Clifton 10, even softer as you take every stride. New range of colours for men and women. Different widths to suit your feet. Bondi 9. New colours for men and women. Take the Hoka challenge and see what fits you best. If you're road running or walking, maximise your comfort and support at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. This Father's Day, treat Dad to a signature taste breakfast. Mix and match 3 for €6. Until Sunday, Super Value Fresh Irish Ribeye Steak now save 25%. And choose from a selection of 12-pack beers such as Carlsberg and Corona from $14.50. Make real summer savings at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 21 minutes past 11. We've a bit of live music coming up for you on the programme. Looking forward to that. We'll also be giving some of you a chance to win for Father's Day. We've got some great prizes which are available. And we have our participants, by the way, so thank you to all of you who text in. I've mislaid the prizes, but I'll come back to those in the not too distant future. We'll be making our calls shortly. That detour route to Roscommon is not a great road, as I've had to use it once or twice. The only route for both counties, I'd say. Indeed, and I think Oisin Kelly touched on that as well. Now, how do you sync your TV with Highland Radio for the Donegal game? I mentioned this before. It depends how you get your telly. But I have a USB stick, which means I can pause live TV until the sound catches up, or I can pause my smart speaker until the audio catches up. As I said on the show yesterday, it can be a bit flutery, but I don't mind that. Dr. Jessamine Fairfield's a science communicator and is with me now on the programme. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
I love the name Jessamine, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah,
it's actually
okay.
Old English for Jasmine.
Right, okay, lovely stuff. We built this city on rock and coal. It's back. It's a climate comedy tour fueled by science and crack, and it's coming to Ironmore Island, Killybegs and Kilcar next week. So talk to me about the show.
Yeah, so the idea is one of the things that makes climate change so difficult to deal with is it can feel like we don't have any power, you know, like that I'm sitting here like recycling my cans and then I'm not the president of a company or the, you know, leader of a big country. So like, does it really matter what I do? And myself and a few improvisers that I know have got together and started doing this show, which is entirely made up on the spot, with the audience, talking to them about what their worries are about climate change, but also where they feel they can take action and where they can kind of connect to nature in their local area. So the tour ran for the first time last year, and we had a really great time going just kind of all over the more sort of rural coastal parts of the country, and even out to some islands. And so we're really pleased to have funding again this year from Research Ireland. And yeah, next week we'll be in Aaronmore, Killybegs, and Kilcar
So
on
it sounds
Monday,
like a
Wednesday, and
fascinating
Thursday.
kind of show, because there's educational stuff in there, there's music, there's interaction with
Yeah.
the audience, there's sort of improv.
Yeah, exactly. There's
it-
comedy and there's science all together.
Yeah, okay. And it's tried and tested, right? So it's organized chaos.
That's what we aim for. It's
Yeah.
like you don't know what's going to come up in any specific show, but we've got a few ideas about how to handle it, whatever does come up. And it's been really amazing working with like performers and scientists together, putting on a show like this. But where the topics that come up are whatever that audience that's in the room on the night cares about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the point you make and hit on, which not everyone does, the fact that people go, well, why should I bother? Like look what one bomb that was dropped in Iran last night could be the equivalent to everything that I do, and I'm not being that sounds I'm being dismissive of the escalation of the situation in that part of the country. But anyway, that's my point.
It's the
being
global context.
it is,
right?
yeah. There's a global context to it, and I think really it's about you getting people to want to do what matters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Rather than
totally.
coercing or whatever. So you say, well, no, you can do your little bit, but if you want to do it, you're invested in it. It's like being a vegetarian. You want to be a vegetarian.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, we have, in terms of science communication, lots of evidence showing that just like yelling facts at people doesn't drive behavior change. So I don't know why we keep doing it. But then in terms of these more lateral approaches like comedy and just kind of talking about how, yeah, it is hard and it does make us think about the world more broadly and all the things we're doing. But one of the things that we found at the shows that's been really lovely is people come and they say, oh, I felt very isolated in terms of wanting to take climate action in my community. But then they show up and they see who else is there and they see the stuff that's going into the show and like the suggestions that are coming from the audience and the community. And it really helps like build those local networks. And then we're trying, like through our website, we're just kind of collecting some of the actions and the tips and tricks that people have told us so that we can help connect some of these more far-flung communities to each other as well.
Yeah.
Kind of a network effect.
Like we've a ton of live stuff in this county. It's a hotbed of it. But this is something that's different. And I'll tell you what I like about it as well. Even though I haven't seen it, so I can't advocate for it, but it sounds like fun, is the fact that it's in different parts. So it's Aaronmore on Monday the 16th of June. It's between 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. There's a pre-show audience engagement session. Killybegs in Foresters Community Hall on Wednesday the 18th, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. as well. And in Ashland Community Centre in Kilcar, again, Thursday the 19th of June, but the again bit, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. workshop before the show. No two shows are the same. And as I say, I think people might be intrigued to go on to have a look and maybe be convinced along the way. Jasmine, do you know what I mean? It's something different,
Yeah,
and it's
that's the
out
idea.
in the community a bit more.
Exactly. And we'll have a Kuplafocal in there as well, but obviously not for me with my accent.
Why
But
not? No,
we'll try
that's the
to-
whole
try to
idea.
do a
Is
few
everyone
different
tries?
things.
We just try, isn't it? That's all
Exactly.
people want. Okay, fascinating stuff. You can get more information, i.e. tickets, full schedule, at webuiltthiscity.ie. And what has the demo been like of those that are attending? Is it a mixed bag wherever you go? I presume
It's
if
definitely-
people make the decision to attend, they've got to step in the right direction anyway and are open to the messaging, I presume.
Yeah, I think it's people who care about climate change as an issue and action in their community, but it's been a really like mixed audience compared to some of the other comedy type stuff that I've run, at least like all ages, from children up to pensioners, all levels of engagement as well, because there's some people who might be quite active in terms of climate and sustainability, and other people who are like, well, I care about this, but I don't really know what I can do that's going to matter. And so it's really nice to then just have those conversations and not come in with like a conclusion pre-scripted, but say, well, actually, like what does the thing that matters to the people in the room, and where can we get with that in the time that we have? And I think that's been really amazing to see in different places.
Brilliant stuff. Get more information on webuiltthiscity.ie, your tickets and what have you, when the shows are in on Ironmore Island in Killybegs and Kilcarroll next week. Good stuff, Jessamine. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
Thanks so much, Greg.
Bye-bye. Dr. Jessamine Farfield, a science communicator, which is an interesting title. Coming up in the next wee while, we'll be giving some of you a... Do you know what I might do? Is it a bit serious? I'll leave it till Monday. I was mentioned earlier on that I was speaking to Tony Canavan. I'll just play this in the ad and then bring people in. Caroline, I was mentioning I was speaking to Tony Canavan there in October of 2023, and just to get an insight out of the leadership of the HSE in this area thinking. I've got a wee 3-minute clip here. As I say, this is not a live interview. This is an interview I did back in October 23 with Dr. Tony Canavan. And I suppose I was trying to tease out the HSE's attitude to Donegal people getting healthcare close to their homes. Sorry to cut across you, because you say there, and it's quite an interesting point, that we have to best use our resources. We are part of a hospital group. Let's take bowel cancer for an example. We have no radiologists, so treatments and other work can't go ahead as planned because we have no radiologist. We are part of the Seattle Hospital Group. What is there, 29 radiologists in Galway? You know, could a few of their hours not be allocated to Letterkenny? That's an effective use of resources, isn't it? We have none. There's 29 there. We're part of a hospital group. Why can a radiologist not come to Letterkenny for a few hours at a time and facilitate some of this life-saving, better outcomes work that could be done locally?
Sure. So we do have radiologists in Letterkenny to start off with. There are 2 permanent consultant radiologists working in Letterkenny right now.
But what has happened is some of this work has not been able to proceed because neither were available. So sorry, I beg your pardon. I should have phrased that somewhat better.
And you're right in the general point that you're making. While we have 2 permanent consultant radiologists in Letterkenny, that's an issue. You know, we do need to. We have 5 posts that we could fill on a permanent basis, but we haven't been successful in filling those posts as yet. So that is an issue. We only have 2 permanent consultant radiologists. There are practical issues, of course, in moving people around the place. So if we take somebody who's based in Galway and ask them to work in Letterkenny, assuming that they're willing, we would lose 4 hours travel time up and 4 hours travel time back. In which those in that day, of course,
there's an awful lot of 8 hours that are lost going in the other direction by regular people, Tony, with respect to you. We're talking about one individual here. There's thousands of us have to lose those 8 hours overnight stays. We've no buses to Galway. Do you know what I mean? I'm not
absolutely
trying to be overly challenging, but I perhaps wouldn't lose a ton of sleep. I know those are 8 hours that are lost in helping people. I get that. Don't get me wrong, but is that really a reason not to have this type of an arrangement within the one hospital group?
So, and we do have visiting consultants that travel, all across the region and providing services in and out of various hospitals. There are consultants, for example, that travel between Sligo and Letterkenny as well to provide services there. But you're absolutely right, that there is a very significant number of patients that travel from County Donegal down to the southern end of the group in order to avail of services. Now, while that's not ideal, I think it is the only practical arrangement we can arrive at in respect of some services. Very specialist services can really only be provided on one site to the quality that we want to provide them at, and we can't sacrifice that quality in order to be able to provide that service somewhere else.
So the reason I wanted to play that is I've kind of referenced that on a couple of occasions. So the reality is for certain services, this is the policy of the person that makes the decisions. For certain services, we are going to have to travel to the very south of the area, and that is just the way it is. And I think maybe some might feel, I'm not saying this is my view, but until that mindset is broken, that, well, why? Why not have the excellence up here? Why can't people travel here? And to reference Damien Dowds again, actually, he made this point a couple of Fridays ago, last Friday. That's Tony Canavan who makes these decisions, and he's saying, you are going to have to travel from Malin to Galway for certain surgeries, and that's just the way it is because that's the policy. And as I say, I've referenced that a few times, but I wanted to give it its absolute context, and I appreciate Donna Marie for helping me to pull that figure or those figures out. Okay, a bit of live music and chat after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Donegal's final group game in the All-Ireland Series is this coming Sunday, and it's a crucial one too, as they take on Mayo at Dr. Hyde Park. You'll not miss a thing on Highland Sunday Sport, with a full live match commentary as from the 4 o'clock throw-in in Roscommon.
Donegal action in this year's championship is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny. Discover the all-new Citroën C4, maybe the most comfortable car in the universe. Choose from petrol, hybrid or EV. Let comfort move you in the Citroën C4.
The Clonmany Agricultural Show Monster Draw. €100,000 in prizes. First prize a Veltra tractor or Skoda Kodiaq car. Second prize a Can-Am Outlander 500cc quad or €10,000. Plus 8 other cash prizes. Tickets are available now online at clonmanyshow.com or from any committee member. This would be a great Father's Day gift.
Since I switched to Hidden Hearing, I can hear it all.
You could save up to €3,000 off invisible hearing aids. Save when you switch to us, upgrade, or save on your very first hearing aids. Pre-phone 1-800-370-000. Switch and save at hiddenhearing.ie. You should go to the hearing experts. T's and C's apply.
Exporter war drives winning prices. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal why Irish cattle are being hoovered up by continental buyers. Record number of beef cattle sourced from controlled finishing units. Stay on top of the Fair Deal scheme. Reduce contributions for long-term care. And free Protecting Payments Supplement. Your essential guide to protecting your farm payments. Ensure deadlines and targets are met. All you need to know about sheep, skeps, bists and nitrate schemes. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Okay, I suppose something of a follow-up, because we welcome back into studio Hannah McFadden, a singer-songwriter from Gweedore. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks so much for calling in. And we have Liam, Joe McFadden, brother and sister.
Yes.
And you're going to be helping out with a bit of backing. That's for music a little later on. But Hannah, this is your second time in the studio with me.
Yes.
It was earlier in the year. You were involved in a TV show. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was involved in this TV show for RT1 called And Gig More. Basically what it is, Greg, was we got together, me and the Eve Bell, and we basically put on a gig in our hometown, showing off my music and performing my music for the parish, and now for everyone who tunes in on Monday to see it.
Now, the most important part of this entire process is this. Cameras were following you around.
Yes.
They were in here.
Yes, they were in here too.
Am I in the programme?
You'll just have to wait and
you
see on
seen the
Monday.
programme?
I've not seen the programme, no. I've not seen anything yet.
Did
so.
I make the cut? That's the only thing I'm interested in. What was the experience like? Because, obviously, you're finding a venue. It's all part of the show as well, of course. You have to generate ticket sales, promotions. Yes. That was part of what you were coming in here for to do, and you can see how that adds content to the whole show.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of pressure on that, but also, you're trying to advance your career, and there's a camera following you.
Yeah.
So was it great fun or lots of pressure?
It was great fun, but also like a lot of pressure, because you had to say everything perfect. Like there was one occasion that me and my mum were in the car, and they put a camera all the way from here to Letterkenny, so we had to be very, very careful what we had to say on the camera. But I'm sure it turned out great. But yeah, very, very. A lot of pressure, but it was great fun.
Can you talk about how the gig went, or is that also part of watching?
No, yeah, the gig went really, really well. Actually, had good fun. Showed off my music, played my music. Sorry, and yeah, it was great. We got proper lights and really good sound system, so it really made it really professional on the night. And it was really great fun. I had a incredible night.
Yeah, and I mean, what a video reel to have now, because obviously that's all being captured professionally by the production team working with RTE as well, too.
Exactly.
And your new single, Broken Way, is out. Have you coincided its launch with the broadcast of this show, or has it been out for a bit?
It's been out on the 10th, so a couple of days beforehand. But yeah, Not equally. They're not the same. Like they're not on the same time. But yeah, it's
and is Broken Way part of the show as well? That's been broadcast.
No, it was. I only wrote the song last summer.
Okay.
And yeah, it was actually. It's a funny story. I was on holidays and I'm like a very emotional person, and when I listen to music, I feel the music. So I was on holidays listening to music, and then my friend phoned me and was like, her partner was basically given off to her, and she said, I don't know what to do anymore. And that really kind of inspired me to write my own, this kind of feeling of being in a relationship and like this toxic relationship, but being in a relationship that you know that is wrong and not seeing through the cracks, and that's why it's called The Broken Way, broken love.
Yeah, and it can be tough because, you know, you probably loved that person once, you probably still have love for them.
Yes.
But maybe you've outgrown the relationship, and you have to face up to that tough conversation, put yourself first, and lots of people struggle to put themselves first, don't they?
Yes.
So you wrote that song, which we're going to hear in a moment. How's the career going? It's tough, isn't it? Because, you know, I think this is fantastic that you've got this bit of promotion through RTE. And when I say a bit, actually, it's really, really quite significant. But also you're plugging away. You're trying to reach your audience. You're trying to get your music out there. You can't rely on radio play as much now in the past. So you have to be your own promoter as well. How are you handling that?
I'm at the minute it's a challenge, I will say. Like, you really have to knuckle down in the social media side of it, because that is the main focus at the minute for promoting, like social media, like in TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and then some of the streaming platforms. I only discovered that not many people have Spotify or iTunes or like even YouTube, so it's very hard to figure out which one people can like go to, and finding
and then
links
not
and stuff.
Overkill either.
Yes, exactly. You don't want to bombard or sound annoying or anything. Being posting every day, and especially with TikTok, that's the main source of, especially for younger generations, to promote music. And
ironically, on TikTok though, you're talking primarily to an international audience, because the user base, as popular as it is, it's a small user base. You aren't going to go viral on Irish users. It has to drop, it has to land nationally, internationally.
And you have 3 seconds to show what you have, and if you don't show your engagement in them 3 seconds, they'll just keep scrolling past you, which is really annoying, because you need more than 3 seconds to enjoy something, but it's just how the world works with
But it's just the thing that hits, you don't know when that's going to happen or what it might be, but something will. And those tools are there now. They weren't there 10 years ago. So it's an advantage, but obviously then
a disadvantage too, as well,
at the same time. And I suppose, being able to perform live and get your stuff out there is really, really useful. So how's what process are you in at the moment? Do you constantly write? Are you working on anything in that regard? Are you gigging much over the summer? What's the plans for the next few months?
So I'm always writing. I have a little brown notebook, and inside I just keep writing lines and stuff like that. I just keep writing all the time. And I have a few gigs coming up, but it's not decided yet, so just waiting for confirmation from that. But I work in Narosa in Maharoti. It's a surf shop, and I do some lunchtime concerts in there, starting up now this summer, doing some concerts.
I like that. That's actually a good idea from the shop's perspective as well too. Add something a little bit different. And I suppose everyone's path is different, and how you want your career to progress.
Exactly.
So for you, maybe gigging 2 or 3 nights a weekend is not how you see you getting your music out to the audience that you know. It's all different for different people. And I'm not saying you won't do that, but this is going. I presume and I hope the phone's going to be ringing off the hook because obviously your star's going to rise automatically as soon as you get national TV coverage on something.
It's definitely exciting. I'm very, very excited for it, and I'm so thankful for everyone who worked on the programme. Cian McCarthy, he was the producer, and he really, really was great help, and he's even now promoting it. Like, we were in the Irish Independent, Daily Mail, Donegal Daily, promoting the gig, and it's just a really good experience and great exposure for him and everyone involved, Eve Bell, myself included, and the lads who were in the band as well.
Right, on Gig More, it's on RTE1 this Monday night at 8 p.m, so make a note of that, and it'll be available on the player thereafter. Looking forward to see it. It's always great to see It's always great to see local people doing well and getting the platform they deserve. Now, Broken Way, obviously you've written this, but in terms of getting the track ready for release, you've worked with some really powerful people in the music industry, not least Philip McGee from Codaline. How did you end up tying in with Philip?
So I actually emailed him. I emailed a load of producers, and I was like, he's the top of the top. But I said, you know what? I'll send him an email. You never know what happens. So I sent him an email, and I sent a few of my songs and just some of me singing. And he came back and was like, oh my God, love this. Had a Zoom meeting on holidays. And just from there, just went fully on. And he's so supportive with everything I do, even now for promotion stuff as well. And we went to Dublin in October, I think, me and my brother Liam Joe.
Sorry, Liam. But you don't have a TV show, so you know what I mean. Sorry about that, son.
Not yet.
So we could be backing in on the drums now in about a year.
But no, so we went in October time down to Dublin to Swords to his recording studio. Spent 2 days there, 2 full days, like from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, just doing like all these experimental music.
Yeah.
So we had like, I was even playing the drums at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a drummer by any means, but it was such a great experience, and being able to get advice from him as well was just amazing.
I mean, that in and of itself is a marker on the career progression. The fact that you got the attention of Philip McGee and he dedicated so much of his time to you. I mean, that's not insignificant, because I'm sure you're not the only ambitious person that emails him.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, the show, by the way, is on Gig More. It's at 8 p.m. There's going to be lots of people watching it that were on the gig to see if they made the cut. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also just to see you doing well too. Are you in it, Liam Joe? Do we know? You're in the band, are you? No.
No, but they interviewed me twice, so.
You're like me. You're waiting.
So. Yeah, I'm waiting for that confirmation.
I know what I'm going to get. Wait till you see. I guess what I'm going to get. There's going to be a Mike Live picture. That's what they're going to do. Okay, no sign of my bald head. There'll be a Mike Live picture, and there'll be a video, a picture of her through the window.
Or they'll do like what is it, like faceless character
on the cutting room floor of somewhere.
Yes,
I know that's how it's gonna go.
Well, you never know. You never know. They might do a full section on it.
I don't think so. There'll be the image of the Mike Live, and there'll be you through a window.
You never know. You never know.
Right. Okay. It's all good. It's all about you. I'm only joking. It's not about me and Liam Joe. Our time will come.
Yes.
Right. Broken Way. This is an acoustic version of this song.
Yes.
A ton of effort with Philip McGee went into the production of this. So what we want to do is enjoy the rawness, the unproduced element of it, but also get on Spotify and have a listen to Broken Way and more of Hannah McFadden's music. And that is your stage name, Hannah McFadden, as well.
Yes, Hannah McFadden.
So as I say, just treat this as a sample and go out and check Hannah on her socials as well. Do you post on YouTube or is it mostly TikTok?
TikTok and Instagram would be my main two sources.
Great stuff. All right then. Perfect. So take it away whenever you're ready, guys.
Thank you. Red wine stain on the kitchen floor. Melodies breaking when I'm asking for more. Creating pictures when I'm feeling alone. Am I the reason why you're not even home? But when I look for what I can see, making stories up of what we wanted to be, waking up caught in the middle of a life. When I'm breaking from the inside, but you chose to walk away, leaving shadows of yesterday. Can't find the words to say. We love the broken way, broken way, broken way.
Twilight tears running down all night. They say darkness comes before the light. Maybe after I'll feel alright, instead of running away from the fight. But I don't know myself anymore. My only love has broken down the door, picking up pieces of my heart, where I don't know where to even start. But you chose to walk away, leaving shadows of yesterday. Can't find the words to say. We love the broken way, broken way, broken way. I want the love and no heat, to feel the skin with no teeth, to be what we wanted to be. I cried too many tears, learned to love my fears. Now you're not even here, but you chose to walk away, leaving shadows of yesterday. Can't find the words to say. We love the broken way, broken way, broken way. But you chose to walk away, leaving shadows of yesterday. Can't find the words to say. We love the broken way, broken way, broken way, broken way, broken way.
Excellent stuff, Hannah. Very strong. Brilliant stuff. Well done to you, Liam Joe. Fantastic stuff. Watch the show on Gigmore, RT1, Monday night at 8 p.m. and check out Hannah McFadden across the socials, Instagram, Spotify, and, of course, TikTok. Liam John McFadden, thank you very much for coming in. Well done to you, and best of luck with everything, Hannah.
Thanks
so very much indeed.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Father's Day is nearly here, and the US Open is just around the corner. Make it a celebration to remember with the perfect gift from McGurk's Golf. We've got everything dads need, from the latest clubs and stylish apparels to top brand shoes, golf balls, bags and accessories. Visit McGurk's Golf, Unit 16, Letterkenny 40 Retail Park, where golfers shop with confidence.
Ready to transform your smile? Discover the magic of Blue Poppy Dental in Letterkenny and Donegal Town. With implantologists, surgical and cosmetic dentists, orthodontists and an endodontist all under one roof, we've got all your dental needs covered. Starting your journey is easy. Call us on 074 91 20355 or book your appointment online anytime through our user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, where smiles shine brighter.
How do you improve on a hero, a legend, a sausage? Wrap it in pastry, of course. Introducing the Super Queen Sausage Roll, our famous succulent sausage and rich butter pastry. A true Irish masterpiece. Roll up at your local Centra and get one with a 12-ounce Franken Honest hot coffee for just €5. Centra, live every day.
You might think this Bus Éireann recruitment ad isn't for you, but keep listening. If you love driving and enjoy working with people, you've already got what it takes to become one of our next generation of great drivers. We'll train you, pay you while you learn, and we offer a great salary and benefits too. Sound good? We're hiring now, so don't wait. Apply today at careers.busaéireann.ie. Bus Éireann. Be part of it.
Celebrate your love at the award-winning Villa Rose Hotel and Spa Ballybuffet. The elegant Cadbury Suite hosts up to 300 guests with a private garden and romantic stone cottage for unforgettable wedding photos. Experience exceptional service that turns your dream wedding into reality. Visit villarose.ie to start planning. Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So as we head into the afternoon, long spells of sunshine developing, a largely dry and fine evenings forecast. Temperature 17 to a balmy 21 degrees with mostly moderate southerly winds. All right, Sunday is Father's Day. Let's say hello to Nolene McFadden in lovely Ramelton. Nolene.
Hello?
Nolene. How are you? Come here.
I'm going to try the phone for everybody.
Oh, that's not the first time?
Oh, no.
Oh.
That's regular.
Well, all right. And the first one did it on the radio. How's that?
Yeah.
All right, come here. Who's the special man that might win a prize?
Well, that's for my wee grandchild for her fella.
Oh,
my
lovely.
fella passed away 4 months ago, but I just thought I would phone in for her.
Oh, yeah, that's lovely. And it's kind of keeps things going. I love that. Thank you so much for calling in. Nolene, I don't have time other than to ask you pick a number between 1 and 4.
3, please.
Congratulations. That's the correct answer. And it's a nice prize, actually, for father and daughter because it's a €50 voucher for Century Complex in Letterkenny so they can go and watch a film, go bowling, go and have something to eat, whatever it might be. So that's going to be lovely. A lovely treat for Dad, but also the wee one gets a treat as well.
Oh, yes, that's what I want.
Take care. Thanks so much, Nolene. Have a lovely
thank
weekend.
You
Bye-bye.
You too, bye.
Ashleen.
Hi,
how are you? I'm all right. I don't have a song for you, Ashleen. Come here, Ashleen McKelvey in wonderful Drumkeen. Who's going to be the recipient of a prize today, Ashleen?
Oh, it has to be the one and only, the boss himself, my dad.
Oh, fantastic. What's his name?
Desi McFeely.
Desi McFeely. How are you getting on, Desi? And pick a number out of 1, 2 and 3, Ashleen.
2.
Oh, he's going to like this. 50 quid to spend at O'Donnell's Fuels, Crawley and Illistrin. That's lovely. Straight into the tank. Have a bit of that, Dad. Brilliant. All right, great stuff. Have a great weekend, Ashleen. Take care of yourself. Margaret Crawford in Burt. Margaret, good morning, Margaret.
Hello.
How are you, my dear?
Hello. Not too bad.
Very good. How's life in beautiful Burt?
It's not too bad.
Yes,
Good.
indeed. Looking forward to a bit of a break in the weather. Tomorrow, Sunday, few showers. Next week, we'll have our bikinis on. We're going to be at the back.
Yeah.
It's going to be heaven.
Yeah.
Who's the man that might be the recipient of today's prize?
My husband from the family,
Okay, what's his name?
Sean Crawford.
Sean Crawford in Burt. Well, you've got a very special person in your life, Sean. Pick a number. Does he play? Pick a number between 1 and 4. Sorry, pick a number out of 1 and 4.
Out of 1 and 4.
Yeah.
I'll take 4.
Okay, well, that's a Callahan's Euronics voucher from Letterkenny. And guess where else? Callahan's and Euronics in Burt. They literally have a shop beside you. €50 voucher.
Yeah.
So you can go and get yourself
That's
an
lovely.
air fryer or something.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. All right,
Thank you
fair
so
play.
much.
No, it's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Best wishes to everyone. That's a coincidence. And let me tell you, that is a coincidence that Margaret's in Burt and she randomly picked a voucher for Burt. All I'm saying is I'm going to Kilmacrennan now, and I just hope Leona's person in her life likes golf. I'll say no more than that. Hi, Leona.
Hi, Greg.
How's life in Kilmacrennan?
All good, yeah, thanks.
All's good. Now, nothing's free. I only have 4 prizes. I'm out of prizes. I only have 4. Sorry, Caroline's speaking in my ear, Leona. Right, who's the man?
It's my dad, Jared.
Does Jared play golf?
Yes, he loves
No,
golf.
he doesn't, does he?
He does.
Oh, wow, brilliant. He's got €50 voucher for McGurk's Golf in Letterkenny.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he can buy a couple of golf covers or a putter or something. Brilliant, Leona. That has normally this goes to pot on me. It's all worked out. Have a lovely weekend, Leona. Best wishes and have a fantastic weekend, all of you out there. We'll be back on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Looking forward to it already.